right, is a place that I spent numerous years, where a place that helped to transform me as a person. So today's topic is about finishing the race. Let's think in for a minute. Finishing the race. If I'm correct, Ebony, these are transfer students, right? Folks who started their journey somewhere else and now completing it here. So like today, what we're going to talk about is how important it is for you to finish the race. Now I'm going to give you 3 takeaways, which I really want you to be able to hopefully write down and reflect on and use as you encounter obstacles in your journey. So before we jump in and I'll tell you my story and give you some examples, I want to ask you all a couple of questions in the chat. First question, what are you most looking forward to at Humboldt State? So if you can, put it in chat. What are you most looking forward to? Is it the J food, which is fantastic? Is it the Redwood Forest that is 600 acres behind Humboldt State? We got meeting new people, the weather. Yep, there's great weather in Humboldt, as long as you don't mind some clouds. Fishing, the forest, small class sizes, a great education, the wildlife. Yep, right, it's coming in. Nature and people, 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 and people. That's an important part. You all are embarking on an amazing journey that's going to transform and change your life forever. So you're looking forward to a bunch of stuff. And by you completing the race, graduating from Humboldt State, your journey is going to be that much richer. So another question before we start the chat is, what obstacles can keep you from finishing the race? The race being a bachelor's degree from Humboldt State University. So what can cause you to drop out? What can cause you to not finish your education? Myself, housing insecurity, mental health, money, kids, money, medical, COVID, money again, debt. Yes, that can definitely impact. Lack of motivation, the pandemic, money, money, money. Yep, yeah, exactly. So almost all of those that you all have put within the chat, I also experienced. I'm the first person in my family to graduate college. I can tell you that it completely transformed my life and enabled me to do what I'm doing right now. And what I want to be able to do when we talk about this theme of finishing the race and how important it is for you to graduate. I'm gonna say it again, to graduate, and how it can forever change your life. So the top 3 takeaways I want you to take away, if you can, please write these down, because I promise you they will work. The first one, top 3 takeaways that I believe you need to finish the race. The first one is have a vision of where you want to go. It's hard just to go to school every day, go to work every day without no plan in mind, without not being able to see beyond today. So you have to have a vision of where you want to go, whether that's to be a lawyer, a nurse, a teacher, a park ranger, a biologist, an economist, the dean, the president of the United States. Whatever it is, you have to have a vision of where you want to go, because the obstacles that you'll face, distance learning, money, transportation, health, those will all play a role in you and obstacles that you will encounter. If you have a vision of where you want to go, that's going to help you get through those obstacles, because you know that there is an end to it. The second takeaway, I want you to write this down. Like, in order for you to finish the race, you have to be persistent and consistent. Persistent, and you have to continue through the obstacles, even though that you're going to face an obstacle where you may lose your housing at one point in college, just like I did, right, where I didn't have a place to live. You have to figure out a way through the challenge. And consistent, meaning even when you don't want to show up to class, to work, right, to do homework, to participate in that group project that has that person who doesn't want to do any work, you still have to show up. You have to show up every single day, because showing up, I kid you not, is half the battle to get into where you want to go. The third thing, the top 3 takeaways of how you finish the race. Be prepared to go through a storm. You all listed out a myriad of challenges. If I just scroll through it, there's about 100-something challenges in here. Chronic illness, again, medical, money, all these different things that you will face. You have to be able to be prepared and know that your storm is temporary. Do we have any X-Men fans in the room? Anybody like X-Men? Anybody? So you all know, right? You all know one of my favorite characters of all the time is Halle Berry as Storm, right, in X-Men. And Storm creates these remarkable natural occurrences that shakes the whole world for a moment. At the start of a storm, there is an end of a storm. So which means that when you are going through something, because you will go through something, there is an end to it. So you have to have a vision of where you want to go. You have to be consistent and persistent, and you have to be prepared and knowing that, listen, I'm gonna go through some things along the way, and that's okay. There is an end to the storm. So my story, before I talk to you about who I am, I'm gonna share a picture of you all with my family, because I just show that when you do a motivational speech and you show a picture of them, people like you more. But this is me right here to the left. That's my daughter, Layla. She is 5 years old. She just started kindergarten on Monday. That's my beautiful wife. We've been married 9 years in October. We met when we were the sophomore in college. We've been together 13 years and married 9 years. And my son, Luke. This dude can be a terrorist sometimes, but he is the sweetest, kindest kid that I know. That's my family. That's a big part of who I am. Right, is my family, my faith, and my service. But for me, like in growing up, my life was often an indication of what was around me. What happens when you don't finish the race? What happens when you think it's too hard to continue? Because that was the story of the people around me. And I'm gonna share with you a couple of quick stories and then talk to you about who I am. So for me, I grew up in a single parent home. I was raised by my dad. Mom left at an early age. I grew up in Stockton, California, if we haven't been away from the Central Valley, and Sacramento, K-8 in Stockton, moved to Sacramento Valley High School in South Sac for high school. But I grew up in communities that were molded by poverty and violence, where people who looked like me, who had black and brown skin, we were the least likely folks to graduate high school, least likely to go to college, most likely to get right to go to jail, most likely. So it was just a bunch of bad stuff in my community. But I always felt fortunate because even though I had this community around me that sometimes can be challenged, I had a couple folks in my life who were really critical. One of them was my dad. My dad raised my siblings and I largely by himself. Mom left again at an early age. She suffers from a lot of different mental health challenges, still continues to have problems right to this day with drug abuse, et cetera. So my dad raised my siblings and I largely by himself. And when I was about 6 years old, we were going to a McDonald's. And my dad used to work in San Jose, so he used to take my brother and I sometimes with him. And for some reason, I had a couple of dollars. I had $2 in my pocket. I asked my dad, I was like, hey, can we go to McDonald's? I want to get an Egg McMuffin. At the time, Egg McMuffins cost $2. So he's like, son, no problem. So we pull up to the drive-thru. My brother's in the back seat and he's crying. He's crying. Dad, how come I can't get Egg McMuffin? How come I can get an Egg McMuffin? So my brother's crying. My dad starts crying. He says, son, I'm sorry. I don't have the $2 to get you an Egg McMuffin too. So my dad didn't have enough money at that time to be able to buy both of his kids breakfast. I share that story to say that my dad was a person who sacrificed a tremendous amount to make sure that his kids could be at a better place. And my dad's story is a good example of what happens when you don't finish the race. We lived in a lot of economic uncertainty at times. Sometimes we had enough, sometimes we didn't. My dad was the first person in his family to graduate, the first person in his family to go to college, didn't finish. And because he didn't finish, he had, when he was raising his family, we had a life of economic uncertainty. So he had to have a tremendous amount of sacrifice at all times to be able to want to be able to provide for his family. He didn't finish the race. So what happens when you don't finish the race? So in 8th grade, I remember I was walking home one day. I stayed after school because I was failing algebra. So I had to stay after school to get tutoring help. And I took the late bus home. And as I'm walking home in Stockton, California, my friends come running to me. And they're like, Mike, where are you going? I'm like, hey, man, I'm going home. They were like, they start laughing. I was like, no, you're not. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I get to my front door and there's a big red sticker that says evicted. 8th grade, going through challenges in school, going through some challenges in my community, and now I don't have a place to live. That was a challenge. But I can even tell you at 13 years old, when I figured out I was homeless, that I knew that this was a challenge. And I knew the challenge was temporary. Because even at 13, I had a vision of where I wanted to go. I knew I didn't want to live the same life that I was living right now. I knew that college was a gateway to a better life. I had no idea how to get there, but I knew college was a gateway to a better life. And I knew I had to make different decisions than what the folks in my community did if I wanted to live a different life. Now I'm standing before you. Ebony read this biography that I have, like now I run an organization that helps young men of color get to and through college. It serves 3,000 young men across 5 counties. We have a $9 million budget, right? I have 2 kids. I have now I have a life, right? That I feel tremendously proud of. And in some cases, the success that I have achieved has been exceptional, but it is not because I am exceptional. I went to challenging, low-performing schools. I was in special ed, like in elementary school. I struggled academically. I had a speech impediment for a long time that I continued to struggle with. On my SAT, I scored in the bottom 20%. My ACT, I scored in the bottom 20%. Almost every standardized test that I took, I scored in the bottom. But yet today, I'm standing here right, as the CEO, Governors Point, to run an organization that is doing phenomenal community impact. Because I had a vision of where I wanted. I knew I was going to go through a storm. I knew I had to have a vision of where I wanted to go. And I had to be consistent and persistent. So at 17, I graduated high school from Valley High School in South Sacramento. I played football from when I was 7 until I graduated college. And football was my motivation to wanting to be able to go to college. I knew I had to get good grades because I knew in order to get a football scholarship, I had to do certain things. I didn't know about other ways to pay for college. So I thought the only way for me to go to college was for me to get a football scholarship. So I worked tremendously hard at all times and played linebacker when I was in college. And most Division I linebackers are like 6'3", right? I'm 5'9". So I knew in order to be able to do really well, I had to work tremendously. I had to be consistent, I had to be persistent. I got an opportunity after high school to go and play at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And that was a tremendous opportunity. I redshirted my freshman year. I played my redshirt freshman year, and I got an opportunity to play. So going into my sophomore year, I figured this is now my time. I was a recruited walk-on. So my coach had told me, he said, hey, Mike, you do well. We're going to give you a scholarship. I thought my life was going to be made from there. I was going to be able to live the exact vision that I thought I was going to be able to live. Got a new linebacker coach. He comes in, he sits me down after a spring game in which I was a leader, which I was a leading person in tackles for the team. He sits me down and he says, Michael, if you stay here and continue to play for our program, I'm never going to start you. No matter how good you do, I'm never going to start you. I want a linebacker who is 6'3" and does A, B, and C. I was like, coach, that doesn't make any sense. If I'm doing better than someone who may just be a little taller, why does it matter? So like, Mike, that's just the way it is. Dream is crushed. Going through a storm. Didn't know that I had a blessing sitting on the other side. So I decided that I was going to transfer because I was taking out loans. I knew I was going through a storm again. I knew the storm was going to be temporary, but I wanted to continue the dream of being able not only to graduate college, but to play football. One of my academic advisors went to Humboldt State, sent a tape there that offered me a football scholarship. This is when Humboldt State had a football team, right? And it was a journey. It was one of the best decisions I ever made was to go to Humboldt State, to be around a group of phenomenal people that pushed me to be better and that taught me about social justice and equity. If I would have quit in that storm, like being told what I couldn't do, I would have never went to college. I would have never have finished my degree. I would have never been able now to impact on a daily 3,000 other young men of color across Northern California. So takeaways, right? You want to have a vision of where you want to go. You want to be consistent and persistent, and you have to be prepared to go through a storm. Some of you all may be going through a storm right now in your life. Some of you all have been through storms to get to where you're at. I'm telling you that in order for you to finish the race, you have to be prepared to be able to take all three of those big items in and to continue. Last couple items I open up for questions. So we know the first takeaway, have a vision of where you want to go. For those of you who know the story of Mother Teresa, she was a nun who built an organization called the Mission of Charity, that when it started out, it was small in Calcutta, India. She said, listen, I have a vision. I'm going to serve the poorest of the poor. I'm going to serve those who are disabled, those who society say are untouchables. I want to serve those who aren't being served anywhere else. Mother Teresa had a vision of where she wanted to go. By the time she died, her Mission of Charities organization was international, serving millions of people across the nation, serving across the world, serving in places where nobody else wanted to serve. She had a vision of where she wanted to go. Be consistent and persistent, right? Takeaway 2. If you know the story of Abraham Lincoln, you know that he was our 16th president, I believe, right? He was a person who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing the slaves in the South. He did a bunch of other really good stuff. He became president of the United States, I think at age 52. His journey to the highest elected office in the country, like started off with him being born into poverty, right? Started off with him getting engaged and then his wife died. Started off with him failing in school. Started off by him running for office as a state representative in the state of Illinois and losing. Started off in him running for Congress and losing. Started off him running for vice president of the United States of America and losing. Running for US Senate and losing. Right? His next race was to be the president of the United States, in which he won. He had to be consistent and persistent. Behind every loss, there is a learning to it. And you have to be persistent and consistent if you want to get to your goal. Last takeaway 3, then I'm gonna close up and wrap it up for questions. Be prepared to go through a storm. For those of you all who may be watching the Olympics, you may have heard of this phenomenal Olympian named Allyson Felix. She is now one of the most decorated athletes of all, most decorated Olympic athletes of all time. I think she has now 11 gold medals, 11 medals. Allyson Felix trains, right, to be this phenomenal athlete that she is. 2 years ago, she gave birth to a little girl. She gave birth when the child was 3 months. She gave birth in her first trimester at 3 months. She was going through a storm while she was preparing to go to her next Olympics. The child, if you saw the Olympic trials, you saw that after Allyson Felix placed second in the 200-meter dash, the 200-meter, her daughter ran up to her at 2 years old, who was this perfect, healthy, happy little girl. Allyson Felix, training for the Olympics, right, had an early pregnancy in which all the doctors told her that her child was going to die. She was going through a storm at the same time while training to be like the next one of the greatest Olympic athletes. She was going through a storm. She knew that her storm was temporary, and her daughter now is this beautiful, healthy, like 2-year-old. So as I wrap up, you all will go through lots of different obstacles along your time at Humboldt State. If you choose to quit and not finish the race, there are repercussions, right, to those actions. But I would encourage you to take these 3 takeaways. Have a vision, be consistent and persistent, and be prepared to go through a storm, because there is a blessing on the other side of that journey. Thank you so much for your time. I'll put my email in the chat. If you have questions or comments, I would love to hear.
Thank you, Michael. As always, so energetic, so amazing. You're getting super thank yous in the chats. I don't see any questions, so we'll give a moment for students to drop a question. If you have a question specifically for Michael, in the Q&A box at the bottom. Otherwise, nice speech. Thank you. Very inspirational, very motivated to finish school. Thanks for sharing your story. So students appreciate it is what I'm reading.
Thank you, Mary. I needed to hear that. That makes the 4 hours of preparation it takes for a 20-minute speech worth it.
Questions just popped up. What's the name of your organization again? And what did you study at HSU?
It is called Improve Your Tomorrow. I'm gonna put it in the chat. ImproveYourTomorrow.org if you all want to go and check out the website. And we are, so I should have mentioned this little plug, Ebony, because we are hiring and we are looking for folks at Humboldt. So we have a program now at Humboldt State called IYTU, and it's focused on the persistence and retention for men of color on campus. So we're partnered with Humboldt State, right, to help to get them to the place where they need to be. And we not only need members, right, folks who want to be able to, right, to be a part of IYT, but folks who want to work for IYT. So go to our website because we have opportunities there. And I majored in business at Humboldt State.
Sweet, thank you, Michael.
Oh, someone's talking to Renato. That's good. Yeah, Renato's in admissions. So go by and bug him and say, hey, listen, I talked to Michael Lynch. He said, give me a job.
And apparently Renato was great. So there's that. What motivated you to start your nonprofit?
So when I was 17, when I was a freshman in college, got a phone call at midnight. I was off in training camp at the UNLV, and I got this phone call. I'll never forget. About 12 o'clock, and the phone call was that one of my friends had been shot and killed. I'll never forget. I had two feelings that day. One, I was sad that I lost a friend, but I felt guilty. I was away from my neighborhood. Some of you all may be getting these same messages already, but I felt guilty that I knew that the same stuff was going to happen over and over again, because often did, right, to folks who look like me, but other really just brown and black people. So I wanted to be able to change. I knew college was a gateway to a better life. I didn't know anybody who graduated from college, or very few folks from my high school went to college. I was like, let me just help other young men of color who are often at the bottom of almost every academic indicator, help them get to college. And it turned in now to this organization that is, that is from Modesto all the way up to Humboldt County.
Well, once again, Michael, on behalf of Humboldt State, I want to thank you so much for being here to motivate our transfer students this morning and start off their orientation in the right foot. So thank you so much, Michael. It's greatly appreciated.
No problem. You all have a great day. And my email's in the chat there somewhere, so feel free if you want to get a hold of me, send me an email.
Absolutely. Okay, at this time, we are going to transition to our next session that our Associate Dean of Students, Roger Wang, is going to start us off with and facilitate from here. So Roger, it is all yours.
Good morning, incoming Humboldt State students. My name is Roger Wang. I'm the Associate Dean of Students, and I am an HSU alum, and I'm just so excited to be welcoming all our new transfer students. We love our transfer students, and we're going to talk about a couple of things today about how we can support you. And so I'm just going to get started. And if you have questions as we're going along with any of the presentations, I have a couple of co-presenters today. Feel free to put that in the Q&A. And I do get that a lot, Sophia, Roger that. So hopefully you see the slides, but then I'm going to turn off my video. I work in the Dean of Students office with Ebony and a couple other people. And I like to think of the Dean of Students office as kind of the compass of the campus. And so if you're ever lost, if you're ever not sure where to go, you're having an issue, please come to our office, come contact us, and we will figure out what we can do. We might not be the people that fix it, but we will tell you the people that can help you fix whatever you're dealing with. And to contact us, our Dean of Students office, if you're on campus, is located in Siemens Hall 211. Probably the best way to get a hold of us this semester is going to be calling or emailing us. You can call us at 707-826-3504. If you don't get a hold of somebody, leave a voicemail with all your information. We'll get back to you, get sent to our emails. You can also reach out to us at dos@humboldt.edu, respond to that email time. We are working virtually and in person. We're going to be starting working in person probably about mid to late September. So if you go to the office right now, you will see some of our orientation folks there, but generally we're not going to be open until the end of September. But of course, you can reach us virtually. Just some quick things for those students who are on campus or going to be taking in-person classes, which I know a lot of people are, there are some reminders regarding COVID for you to be reminded of before you step on campus. So if you're vaccinated for COVID-19, you need to submit that vaccination records by September 10th, 2021, and you'll do that through your medical health portal. If you're unvaccinated for COVID-19 and you qualify for an exemption, that could be medical or religious exemption, you're going to submit that exemption by September 10th, and then you will be tested once a week. If you don't get tested, you're going to have issues and you could get your status revoked. If you're unvaccinated and you have not submitted exemption by September 10th, you will not be able to participate in any in-person activities, including classes, events, services, anything else. If you travel internationally during the semester, you will need a quarantine for 10 days prior to returning to campus. You're not going to be able to attend classes during that time, and so you'll want to make sure you're coordinating that with your faculty members. You will need to wear face coverings on campus anytime you're indoors, and outdoors anytime you cannot maintain 6 feet from others. You'll not be able to attend or teach in-person classes without wearing a mask. So make sure you have a couple of masks on you, put some in your backpack, have some at your door. You know, we've been doing this for a year and a half, so hopefully you have some masks with you. And so just make sure you're wearing that mask anytime you're indoors. You're going to perform daily wellness checks before coming onto campus or leaving your residence hall if you live on campus. Daily wellness check is just making sure that you're not feeling sick. If you are feeling sick, you need to stay off campus and stay in your room if you're living on campus, and notify your faculty members. You're going to just generally take care of yourself and your hygiene. So make sure you're washing your hands, making sure you're following any directions from public county health. And if you're, just generally just kind of take care of yourself. You know, COVID-19, as we've seen over the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, it's constantly changing. And so we're going to be sending lots of updates via email. And so make sure you're always checking your emails for updates regarding really anything from the university, but especially with COVID. Some quick things about face masks. Again, hopefully you've learned this by now. When you're wearing a face mask, make sure it's not on your neck. That doesn't do anything. Make sure your mask isn't too loose where there's gaps on the side. Make sure you're not wearing your mask where your tip of your nose is not covered, or your whole nose is not covered. That does nothing. Don't leave your chin exposed, and this person on the right is doing it right. Wear your mask so it comes all the way up, close the bridge of your nose, and all the way down under your chin. Do your best to tie in loops or ties so it's snug around your face without gaps. And if you're concerned about your rights, if you refuse to wear a mask in the classroom, you will be removed from the classroom for disruptive behavior. If you violate this mandate, you can be restricted from campus. You can be removed from housing, suspended, or expelled from the CSU system. This is a health and safety mandate. This is our policies. And so please follow them. That's the last thing I want to do. That's the last thing anybody wants to do. So please wear your mask and follow all instructions regarding COVID. Something that has come up during the pandemic is a lot of academic honesty issues. And so before you get into your classes, do not use Chegg for their answering tutoring services. We've had a lot of issues with students using Chegg and posting questions from tests and getting answers from tests onto Chegg. There are other websites too. Don't purchase your papers from websites. Don't text with other friends answers during a test. Essentially, my best advice is if you weren't doing it during an in-person test, don't do it in an online test. Some other services that we have in our Dean of Students office is our campus assistance response and engagement team. And essentially, if you're dealing with an extenuating circumstance, you have a family member that's sick, you're sick, you have to go back home because of a wildfire. I know there's a lot of issues going right now. You're missing classes because of a power outage. You lose housing all of a sudden. Please contact our office. Again, the best way is just email dos@humboldt.edu. And we can provide you referrals to a variety of support resources on and off campus. We can arrange academic accommodations, including notifying professors when you miss class, dropping a course, withdrawing, or navigating other university procedures. We do have a temporary emergency housing program. And so if you're currently homeless or you become homeless or houseless at any point, If there's space, we can house you for free for 21 days on campus. And I know we've been doing that during the summer, and we actually have a couple people in there right now. You can refer yourself to CARE via email or through our website. And you can also have a staff and faculty member who might be concerned about you. And so you might get an email from us. We have two people who work there, Rob Keever and Kelly Rothrock. They are amazing people, part of our team. We also have a basic needs website, which is just basicneeds.humboldt.edu. If you're dealing with food insecurity, housing issues, we have a lot of different resources up there. So I would encourage you to check that website out. And I think that is it for me. If you have questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A box. Otherwise, I am going to turn it over to Alan.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alan Ford. I am the excellent job, Roger. Fantastic. And thanks for the opportunity to speak to our transfer students this morning. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Alan Ford. I'm the interim Title IX coordinator. I use he, him pronouns. I also work in DHR, or I'm the DHR administrator right now. And DHR stands for Discrimination, Harassment, and Retaliation. So let's jump into what all that means, starting with Title IX. So Title IX says, and I'm going to read Title IX in its entirety to you right now, so prepare yourself. Title IX says, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. That's it. That's all of Title IX. That's all that it says. So let's jump into what that means a little bit and break that down a bit. Where does it mention men or women? That's a good question. The answer, it doesn't. It states sex and currently applies to any representation of sex and or gender. That's all peoples on campus, as long as you, or even if you don't subscribe to any sex or gender, this is also incorporating you. The difference between sex and gender? Good question. The answer, one is a physical or biological determination. The other is a social concept, but it's solely determined by you. And third, the important missing word in Title IX is the word access. So access, meaning that typically when we're talking about discrimination, we're talking about someone being barred access to, and maybe access isn't physical, maybe it's another way. It's another form of discrimination. So let's jump into why Title IX is important now. Number one, it prioritizes equity over equality. And I don't think this is an unfamiliar cartoon. If you haven't seen it before, you kind of see the difference, the representational difference of equality and equity. Equity being more of the goal for Title IX. So equity over equality. Number two, it's a federal mandate to eradicate gender discrimination. So we are looking to eradicate gender discrimination in its many, many forms. There are a lot of different forms of that and ways that it's represented, and we're interested in eradicating all of it. And third, it established a precedent for sports participation, specifically for women in sports. In the next slide, you'll see a lot of different representations of what that might look like, from Billie Jean King back in the 70s to Cheryl Miller in the 80s, Carrie Strug in the 90s, Becca Longo being the first woman to sign a football scholarship just a couple of years ago, and Cameron Brink this year being the first woman to sign an NIL opportunity. And our woman administrator, senior woman administrator on campus is Kelly Kime. Every campus is required to have one of those. So there's a lot more to Title IX than just sports, right? So I want to warn you before we go into this next slide, there are some pretty significant language here, and I'm not going to read any of the statistics there, but there are some statistics that support why Title IX is important. And here on the next slide, you can see some of these different statistics, specifically dealing with sexual assault and some of those different representations on every campus, not necessarily just our campus. So question becomes, who's in line? Who is the person who is the one person responsible for supporting people and to eradicating gender discrimination? Well, that's the kicker, is it's not just one person. On this next slide, you'll see there's quite a few of us here designated to do that. First picture, that's myself, Alan Ford. A little bit more facial hair there, but no glasses. Jen Sanford is the director of CAPS. CAPS and Title IX work closely together. Cooper Jones is our athletic director. Obviously just talked about sports. Roger Wang, that you've just heard from, who you've just heard from, our Associate Dean of Students. Dave Hickox works in human resources. He's our interim AVP of human resources, works well with Title IX with our staff. Nikki Viso is the other part of the Title IX office. Cherie Gordon is our chief of staff on campus and works with Title IX and the president's office. Dustin May is our general counsel. Anthony Morgan is the chief of police, obviously a close relationship with UPD. And then Dr. Tom Jackson, our president of the university, also an important factor when it comes to Title IX and its implementations on campus. These next 3 slides will go into some definitions on why Title IX is important, right? And the first area here that you can see highlighted is about sexual harassment. The important thing to know about sexual harassment is it comes in a lot of different forms and formulations. There are a number of different reporting options that you have if you believe you've experienced any type of sexual harassment on our campus or around our campus or in affiliation with our campus. Please feel free to report. The next slide will go into a little bit of information regarding prohibited conduct, and that's more so for our discrimination and harassment piece. And you'll see some of the different opportunities or areas that are represented for protected status. That's age, disability, gender, gender identity, gender expression, and so on. And on this last slide, we'll go into affirmative consent. Now, more of what affirmative consent means and what consent in general means will be discussed next. My great, wonderful colleague, Cassandra, will take care of that part. But just know that there are some intersections between Title IX and affirmative consent. Now, here's the most important part. I know a lot of you are, well, all of your transfer students, so a lot of you have some college experience, but not many of you have any experience at HSU. So here's your first HSU exam. Number 1, the Title IX coordinator at HSU is, who is it? Is it Alan Ford or someone else? Anybody? If you said Alan Ford, you're correct. Great job. Nice job, Dakota. Number 2, Title IX prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender in the United States. True or false? False, that's correct. It's on the basis of sex. Somebody was paying attention. Great job. Number 3, sexual harassment can occur without physically touching someone. True or false? That is true. Yes, sexual harassment can occur without physically touching someone. Number 4, affirmative consent on Tuesday means affirmative consent will also be present on Saturday. Obviously false. All correct answers there, false. Number 5, HSU's Title IX policy applies to all students, employees, and campus guests. A lot of answers. True, true, true. That is correct. And our last question, which president signed Title IX into law in 1972? Is it specifically for transfer students? Is it A, Tom Jackson, B, Richard Nixon, C, Sean Carter, or D, George Bush? Sophia, great job. Correct. Nixon. Number 2 is B. Nixon is the president who signed Title IX into law in 1972. And I must tell you all, congratulations. Welcome to HSU. You've passed your first HSU exam. You are good to go. Everything is going to work out beautifully for you. Thank you for allowing me some time to talk to you. If you have additional questions, please, please, please do not hesitate to answer. Yes, you are ready for your degree. I agree. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. If there's anything I can clear up or assist with, by all means, let me know. Thanks so much. And Cassandra, looks like you're up.
Let me swap slides real quick. All right.
Cool. Thanks, Alan and Roger. Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra. My pronouns are she, her, and I am from the Campus Advocate team. We are a program from the North Coast Rape Crisis team, and our vision is a world without violence. So moving on, first thing I wanted to share with everybody is that we work with the university and not for HSU. So because of this, we are not employees of HSU and we have no reporting requirements and cannot share any information without express consent of the person we are serving. This also helps us prioritize serving the needs of the survivors impacted by things like sexualized violence, intimate partner violence, stalking, etc., and whether they choose to report or not, and whether what happened falls within the Title IX definitions or whether it does not. This also helps us, to partner with the university while maintaining confidential and privileged communications. At the same time, being community-based allows us to provide a wide range of services off campus and also on campus as well. And we have our 24-hour support hotline here in the corner. You'll definitely see this number more throughout the presentation, but you could go ahead and write that down or screenshot it. So moving forward, in the chat, you could put what consent means to you while I give you a few definitions. So consent is mutual and affirmative. This means that everyone involved is agreeing and okay with it. And this also means that it's clear. And if you're not sure, ask. And if you're still not sure, then that probably means no. Consent is also knowing and free-willed, and consent can be withdrawn at any point. Some important things to remember about when consent is not present is when someone is unconscious, blacked out, or asleep, use of drugs or alcohol, or living with a mental or developmental disability that might interfere with someone's ability to understand their choices. But that does not mean that those around the spectrum cannot have healthy and loving relationships, because they very much do, and they can. And moving on to our services here at CAT, oh, whoops, I skipped the slide. So moving on to Title IX, you've heard a lot of great information from Alan about what Title IX is. So just to add on to that, Title IX helps address gender-based inequities and discrimination. It also addresses sexual harassment, sexual assault, domestic dating, intimate partner violence, and stalking, and gender-based harassment and discrimination. And one thing I wanted to point out is that the CSC requires each campus to have an advocate. So here at HSU, we are your advocates at the Campus Advocate team. And talking about our services, so one thing I love telling everybody is that our services are free and confidential. Here is that 24-hour support hotline again up at the top. We provide counseling to survivors on campus and off campus. Right now, we're currently doing counseling via phone. Another thing that we do is that we provide accompaniments to Title IX, law enforcement, medical, and other appointments as appropriate. We also act as advocates, and we let survivors know their choices and options. But one thing that I want to mention is that we don't ever tell a survivor what they should do. We respect their choices 100%, whether that means they want to report or whether they don't want to report. We also help assist with securing accommodations, and this could mean like, for example, if you're living on campus and you want to change your dorms, that's a good example of that, or whether you want to switch up your classes a bit, like for your safety and stuff. And last but not least here, we have regular contact with our Title IX coordinator, Alan Ford, and that's just communicating it's appropriate about case statuses and options and etc. So here's some more information about our services. Like I mentioned earlier, our services are free and confidential. Our services also include, or our services are also available for students, staff, and faculty, and for people of all ages, genders, circumstances who've experienced trauma within their lives. A great thing about our services is that like you don't have to have experienced any form of violence at HSU only to have our services. If you have experienced trauma before your time at HSU, you can still reach out to us and we'll be there to support you and give you all of our services and whatever you may need. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that we come from a trauma-informed approach, and we are informed by an understanding of consent and knowledge that no one deserves what happened to them by someone else's choices of violence. And I'm sounding like a broken record, but there is our 24-hour hotline again. And that was about it for the information that I have today. On our last slide, boom, 24-hour hotline. And you'll see us around campus sometimes, especially during like, like a lot of Check It workshops will be there. And if you have any questions about our services, or if you're ever feeling a bit, like overwhelmed or just trying to process things about like talking about these subjects, you can also definitely give us a phone call and we'll be there to support you on the other end.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Cassandra, there was a question in the chat that asks, what is the best way to get involved and be an advocate with CAT?
Since it's been COVID, we haven't had any volunteers yet, but we'll be on the lookout for volunteers. I'll drop our social media handle, so you could DM us or look out for like any posts about getting any volunteers. But that's about it. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Due to COVID, we haven't really been on campus either. But yeah, definitely look out for any social media posts or give us a phone call if you're interested.
And then also there was an additional question. Does this mean that CAT is a place to talk to someone, even if there is no desire to report what happened?
Yes, that's 100% correct. So for example, I'm an educator and sometimes we do like workshops and we do presentations on campus, like at Arcata High School. And when I'm at Arcata High School, I'm a mandated reporter, but everyone in the office and within our CAT team, when we're answering hotline calls and say you want to just talk about something that has happened to you in the past, you don't have to worry about us reporting or being mandated reporters because we're not when we take hotline calls. So everything that you share with us throughout that phone call is completely confidential and we don't share it with any outside agencies.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that covers all of the questions in the Q&A that came through. So thank you so much to Roger, Alan, and Cassandra, both for joining us to do an overview this morning. There's lots of thank yous in the chat, so it seems like the students appreciate it as well. Okay, so we finished about 5 or so minutes ahead of schedule. And so just to recap for you, I will share my screen with where we are. So we just finished with this session, and so you go into your break at this time, and then you will return to this link where we are at 12:15, where we will have our well-being and essential needs presentation. You do not have to log out if you don't want to. You could just step away from your computer or your device that you are on, but you have a break right now for lunch until 12:15. So with that, I am going to stop share and we will see you in about 25 minutes. Thanks so much, everybody. We will be getting started in about 30 more seconds. Okay, all right. Hope you had a great break and a great lunch. For those of you who got food or just took a moment to decompress, we are on the second end of our day and really excited to have our next presenter with you, Raven Craig, who is absolutely amazing and is going to go over some wellness and health resources for you here on campus. So friendly reminder, you can connect with each other in the chat. If you have an actual question for the presenter, you can put that in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So with that, Raven, I am going to turn it over to you. It's all yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Raven Craig. I am a campus health educator. I apologize. Welcome to my room, I guess. I can't, the Zoom backgrounds were not functioning today. So I am going to put some links up in the chat as well as my contact information. The links are all about kind of the things that I'm going to be talking about today. So if you want to follow along, there they are. And then obviously the presentation is going to be available afterwards too. Thank you. Lion loves you too. I don't think there's anything like illicit back there unless you're like offended by Dungeons and Dragons books and stuffed lions. Okay, so I am going to share my screen. All right, awesome. So I'm so excited to be presenting to you today. I love orientation. And so as I go through, I will say that there is like a phone number on here for questions. That's because this presentation is usually done in person, and then people can like text me questions if they feel uncomfortable asking them to me with like raised hands. But you don't need to use the number. You can use the Q&A box. But if you want to save the number to ask questions later, if you forget stuff, you are more than welcome to text it. We'll probably get back to you like in 24 hours or so. So once again, my name is Raven Craig. I am a campus health educator. I've been at Humboldt State University for a while. I have all my degrees. I have multiple degrees from this institution. So I've got undergraduate degrees, and then also my master's degree is from HSU. So I've been here for a while. I'm not from here. I'm actually from Covina. So some of you may know where that is, east of LA, about 40 minutes to 3 hours, depending on kind of traffic situations. And so I've been up here since about 2006. And then I also grew up in Washington State for a little while too. So I'm a West Coast person I also spent some time in DC, in Washington, DC. But Humboldt kind of has my heart, so I always keep coming back. And so when I came here, I was a freshman. I'd never seen campus before. So there was a lot of like weird and culture shock things that happened to me when I came up here. I was fully unprepared for how much it rains. I didn't have good shoes or her rain jacket. I was unprepared for how many hills I was going to have to climb every day. So there's lots of like interesting and nuanced things about coming to Humboldt, especially because you think it's California, but you get here and it doesn't feel like maybe the California you're from. And so, just so you know, like all that's normal. There's all sorts of stuff about coming to college for the first time or the second time if you're a transfer student, but leaving your home to go to school, that can be difficult. Like sometimes you miss your pets and your family, you miss your friends from back home or like the place where you like to get coffee. And so you need to kind of establish new routines and new structures for support. And a lot of what I do is helping people kind of establish those structures for support and find the resources that they need to make themselves help themselves be successful in college. And so one of the best kind of pieces of advice that I like to give before my presentation is that, you know, you're sitting through all these presentations, and if there's like somebody who is presenting to you who is a staff member on campus and you connect with them and you're like, oh, that person seems pretty cool. She had orange hair and a pink lion in her house. Like, if that person is a person that you might relate to in some way, and you have a question that's about the institution or about Humboldt County, or, you know, whatever that question is, even if it's not like their area of expertise, you know, reach out to that person, because, you know, reach out where you feel comfortable at first, and they can help guide you to the right place, right? So, and, you know, we all know how to set boundaries. So if we can't help you, we'll let you know. But most of us, and myself included, I'm willing to help out with all sorts of things, even if they're not health and wellness related. And so please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. All right, so I'm here to talk specifically about health and wellbeing services, as well as some basic needs resources, as that's kind of like what my job covers. So I'm going to be talking about the Student Health Center, counseling and psychological services, as well as health education, which is my role. So to start off, we have a Student Health Center on campus. It's located off of the Library Circle. So there's like a bus roundabout where the buses come in on the main part of campus, and the building is there in the background. This is an older staff picture of us. I think I covered myself up with the words. I'm like right in the middle right there. So the health center has doctors and nurses. We have a pharmacy on campus, as well as an X-ray. We have a fully functioning lab on campus. So the way that it operates is it's kind of like an urgent care facility. So you may have a doctor that you've been regularly seeing for, you know, portions of your life. That's called your primary care provider. And then you may have like specialists you go to if you have like a specialized medical need. The Student Health Center doesn't replace those primary care providers or specialists. What they do is they supplement. So if you have like an emergent or urgent need that's not like an emergency, you can use the health center to help you out. So if you were to fall, I think one time I fell and I banged my wrist up pretty bad on campus, and I was able to get an X-ray and get a brace and get some like higher level ibuprofen, and they helped me out. The services that the health center provides are mostly already covered by your student fees. There can be some small fees attached to some of the things they provide, but most of it's covered. They also do reproductive health care. They help with your kind of immunization records, and they can also help with some mental health stuff as well. So because we also have a psychiatrist who works out of that office. The important thing to know about our pharmacy on campus is that you may have prescriptions that you've already kind of had through doctors back home. Those prescriptions cannot be sent to our pharmacy. Our pharmacy can only get prescriptions from the doctors and nurses who are in our facility. And so if you have a prescription from back home and you need to figure out how to get it up here, we can kind of help you with that. You can reach out to me and I can connect you to the right resources, but you're probably going to have it sent to a local pharmacy, or somebody back home is going to need to pick it up and send it to you in the mail, kind of depending on what your situation is. Sometimes it can be really specific, and sometimes the needs change based off of kind of what your situation is. So because of COVID, there are some changes in the way the health center functions. The best way to use our resources is to call and make an appointment first, not to walk in. I mean, if you are like literally bleeding, you can go and ring the bell and go in, but the best way is to make an appointment by calling. They do some telehealth. So if you're not physically in the area, you can see a doctor or nurse through our services, even if you're not here. And then sometimes they offer and have telehealth services for folks before they come into the clinic, even if they are local. And so know that that you may have like a Zoom meeting with your doctor or nurse, kind of depending on what the situation is. And then we also are doing COVID testing at the clinic. However, so just a brief kind of COVID overview. If you have immunization records that need to be submitted, they need to go through the campus health portal. And if you need help navigating that, if you don't know how, you can reach out to me and I can help you figure it out. if you need to get a COVID-19 test and you are not currently experiencing any symptoms, you would go online to this website, and you can find that off the wellbeing.humboldt.edu website, and you would make an appointment with our on-campus kind of COVID testing facility. If you are experiencing symptoms, please call the clinic and make an appointment and go directly into the clinic. That way we can make sure we have the proper equipment and the proper PPE for if you're symptomatic, and to do that as soon as possible. So today we're running a COVID vaccination clinic. I realize this is already today. So hopefully if you needed that, you can sign up for an appointment. If you are looking to get vaccinated and you need some help, you can reach out to me. There's lots of websites and lots of places that you can get vaccinated. And if you are struggling to get vaccinated, even in your community that's outside of here, I can help you figure out kind of where you need to go. One of the awesome things that we have on campus is these really cool like health vending machines. So they are located, so there's one in Nelson Hall East. And if you don't know where any of these places are, I can always send you a map. There's one on the second floor of the Jolly Green Commons, actually the third floor of the Jolly Green Commons. And then there's one near the College Creek mailroom. And then there's another one that's at the Student Activity Center, the newly opened Student Activity Center. And these vending machines have kind of the stuff that you'd see that's over the counter in like a CVS or a Rite Aid or whatever. They have like pregnancy tests and condoms. They have pads and tampons. They have cold medicine, ibuprofen, Tylenol, things like that. They also carry Plan B, also known as emergency contraception, and it's very inexpensive. It's a lot cheaper than it would be to go to a store and get it. So it's like $11. And so they accept cash and card. Everything in them is very, very cheap. And sometimes the items in them are sometimes free. And so it's always worth a check if you're looking for something and you need something kind of in a rush situation. So we also have counseling and psychological services on campus. So they're in the same building as the Student Health Center. They're on the second floor of the same building. Although they will be mostly offering their services through Zoom for the fall semester. They will be doing some in-person meetings and some in-person groups, but most of their services are going to be through Zoom. They're open Monday through Friday. They have the best way to get in contact with them is to once again call in the morning and kind of make an appointment with them. They provide one-on-one counseling, couples counseling, group therapy, drop-in groups, and then mindfulness and skill workshops. They're really amazing because they have two kind of separate kinds of groups. And so there are the groups by appointment. So these are groups that you meet with a counselor and then you decide that group might be good for you and you get kind of assigned the group. And then they also have these really amazing drop-in groups that you can go to as many of them as you want that feels right for you. And they cover a lot of different topics. They do alcohol and drug stuff. They do first generation college student support. We had a really amazing one that started last semester that was like all outside and in the forest. And so I highly recommend that if this is something that you are interested in or getting in and would like to reach out to them as soon as possible and kind of get involved. The group schedule will be posted on their website, which is counseling.humboldt.edu. Towards the third week of classes is usually when the schedules come out for when the groups are going to be. So if you need resources or services and the health center and counseling are closed, we do have resources available for you. So we have an after hours nursing phone number. And so you can call this number if like you have something going on that's medical and you're not sure if it's like an emergency, so maybe not a 911 situation, but like also maybe like you don't have a mom to call or you don't want to bother somebody at home, but you want to talk to somebody about kind of what's going on, you can call this number and get some advice. Our counseling services we have people who are on call 24 hours a day. And so you can call them 24 hours and talk to a therapist kind of about what's going on. We have a really amazing campus advocate team. So this is support for people who are survivors of sexualized violence. And they are also open 24 hours. And then we have two local hospitals. So there's Mad River Hospital, which is located about 5 minutes away from campus. And then there's St. Joseph's Hospital, which is located in Eureka, and both have emergency rooms and can be accessed fairly easily. So as a part of what I do, I run a set of programs that are really great in health education. And so we have 3 health education kind of branches. So there's Check It, the OSNAP student food programs, and then the Peer Health Education program. We, as a health education program, are a program that tries to educate about health through a view of like justice and identity. And we don't use kind of fear or shame or guilt to try to convince people to change behaviors. So you may have seen this recently as we are in a very interesting health time in the world. But one of the things most people who work in health understand, not everybody, is that fear and guilt are not very good motivators to change somebody's health behaviors, and they don't build positive relationships with you. It's hard for you to build a positive relationship with your body and with your health when that relationship is fraught with fear and guilt. And so everybody comes to conversations about body and health from different places, and sometimes that information we've gotten has come through lenses that have skewed it in a way that make those relationships really difficult to kind of like manage. And so we are a part of the journey of getting you to a better place and a more positive interaction with your body and with your health. And so we try to do that in a lot of different ways. So the first program I'm going to talk about is the student food, OSNAP student food programs. So this is our basic needs food program on campus. So we have a pantry on campus where students can go and pick up free non-perishable food items, as well as fresh produce when we have available. We usually try to have fresh produce available throughout the year, but sometimes there are certain times of the year where we don't have it. We have cooking classes as well as nutrition education. And then we also help people sign up for CalFresh. CalFresh, also known as EBT. So if you don't have a meal plan and you are struggling to pay for food, CalFresh can be a really awesome resource to help you pay for food, and we can help you sign up. You may have, or maybe if you had CalFresh in another county, we can help you transfer it up here. So we are located in the Recreation and Wellness Center. All of these programs are in the Recreation and Wellness Center, which is separate from the Student Health Center. We're over by the track and the football field. And for the fall, we're going to be doing most of our distribution outside. So we have scheduled hours for the first 2 weeks of classes where you can come pick up a food bag from us. You can sign up for CalFresh. You can get condoms from us or dental dams. You can also get some toiletry items. We have like some toothbrushes and we have toilet paper, things like that to just kind of help you get along. And so if you come to the Recreation and Wellness Center, we're going to be open on Tuesdays and Fridays for the first 2 weeks of classes. After that, we'll announce kind of our hours that are going to be kind of set for the rest of the year, rest of the semester. And we'll announce those through our Instagram or on our website. And then we will, and so we'll just be stationed right outside of the building, and it'll be pretty easy to see us. We have a van that has our logo on it that will park next to us, and we'll have our tables out there. We also do gardening and cooking classes that are really amazing, and those are going to be announced. I think we're going to have one. Our first one's probably going to be September 8th, is what I heard today. But the cooking classes are really great. You can get a bag of ingredients from us, and sometimes cooking supplies if you don't have like a whisk or a bowl that you might need. And you pick up the bag from us, and then you follow along on Zoom like it's a cooking show, and we show you how to cook different things. And if you're the type of person who's like, Raven, I have a wealth of knowledge on how to cook things, I don't need to be taught, then we would love your expertise and have you host a cooking class for us. And so if that's something you're interested in, let me know. So the best way to get in contact with us is probably our Instagram at this point, which is HSU OSNAP. And we also have a newsletter that you can sign up for. And then I also threw in the chat, one of the links that I put in the chat is a sign up form to be signed up for our mailing list. And then also if you kind of want to volunteer with any of our programs. So a part of OSNAP is also OSURE. So this is a program to help students navigate the very dynamic and wild world of health insurance. So they don't teach a class in high school or college about health insurance, which is a shame. It's a skill that we all need, and it's ever changing. And so we can help folks sign up for Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal, it helps people who are of certain income levels pay for health insurance. Covered California, which is the marketplace for health insurance in California. Family Pact, which is the teal card. I'll talk about that in a second. And then also to transfer your health insurance or your Medi-Cal from one county to another. So a couple notes about health insurance. Locally, we don't have a Kaiser Permanente facility. So if you are on a health insurance plan currently, either through your parents or through Medi-Cal in your old county, that it has you on a Kaiser Permanente plan, we don't have a facility that can see you here. You can use your Kaiser Permanente if you need to go to like the emergency room, but like a regular like doctor visit, you're going to be able to see some folks at the student health center. But if you have like a long-term health issue, we may need to come up with some creative solutions, which may be like traveling home every once in a while, or kind of whatever your needs are. And if you're not here, then obviously it's not as pertinent. But if that's the situation you find yourself in and you need some advice, you can set up an appointment with me or email me, and we'll set up an appointment and kind of talk through your situation. If you have Medi-Cal already and it's for a county that's outside of Humboldt County, you likely will need to transfer your services to Humboldt County if you'd like to use them here. And that process can be strenuous depending on where you're coming from, but we can help you out with that process as well. I can give you some instructions on how to start it. And some of you may decide that you actually want to keep your Medi-Cal for another county because you're going to be going back often enough to see the doctor there, and that's just what makes sense for you. But if you'd like to kind of talk through those options, you can also let me know. Just a note that sometimes local health resources can be impacted. Sometimes it can take a while to get in to see a doctor or a dentist. And sometimes it can be harder to find services. So we do have a case manager in the health center who can help you kind of navigate the local health scene if you need some assistance with that. So one of the things I did mention that we help people sign up for is the Family Pact card. This is a card that helps pay for reproductive health care services. So you can sign up for this card through Peer Health Education, OSNAP, Planned Parenthood, or at the Student Health Center. Basically, this card will help pay for things like STI, STD screenings, pregnancy tests, things like that. And almost everybody can get it. It's based off of income, but you can get it even if you have another insurance. If, for instance, that's your parents' insurance and there are things that you would like them to not necessarily know about, right? The people who are eligible for it is you have to be able to get pregnant or get somebody else pregnant is how they kind of define it. But we can help you kind of navigate that and see if it's the right fit for you. That's kind of the end of the OSHER section, but Peer Health Education is the other program that I supervise. So these are students who do peer-to-peer outreach about health and well-being. So they talk about sexual health issues, mental health, alcohol, and other drugs. They're justice oriented. We have an office located in Recreation Wellness Center. It's room 126. Currently, we're not going to be staffing the office for this semester, but we will be tabling pretty regularly on the quad. I'm thinking probably once or twice a week. And then also we'll have resources like condoms and dental dams and things like that at our at the OSNAP resource space. They talk about alcohol and other drugs. One of the things that I need to mention, I'm sure you've heard it before, but HSU is a smoke-free campus. That means no cigarettes, no e-cigs, no vaping, no hookah, no nothing. When we talk about alcohol and other drug use through our program, we're a harm reduction-based education program, which means that if you need to talk to somebody about alcohol and other drug use and you want to come talk to us, we are trying to meet you where you're at in your relationship to alcohol and other drugs. We're non-judgmental. Also, because we work in health services, you can come and talk to us about your use or your relationship without us needing to report that to any kind of authority. So we talk about drug culture, party culture, and having open conversations to help people make safer choices around alcohol and other drugs. This is just kind of a note that I throw in, but if you need assistance trying to figure out your preferred name and pronouns in our campus system in the student center. If you're struggling with that, you can let us know, and we can help you out with that. I am also the advisor of the Eric Rufus Multicultural Queer Resource Center, the ERC. And so if you need access to anything that is relating to the services those folks provide, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help navigate that kind of stuff. So the Peer Health Education Program also has an Instagram. It's this hilariously old slide, also lists our Tumblr, which I'm pretty sure is gone now. But Instagram is the best way to keep in contact with them. We will be hosting a lot of really amazing workshops. So we do these workshops through the library. They're called CIYs, which focus on different health topics. So they're like 30-minute to 15-minute presentations where you learn about like sleep cycles or reproductive health, or, you know, all sorts of kind of different areas of health that are taught by students to students. And then we kind of follow up with you to see if like any of the skills were helped and if they stuck. And then we're also planning on doing something hopefully around Halloween. We love Halloween. We usually do some fun event planning around Halloween. And so if you're interested in either OSNAP or Peer Health as like, you know, a volunteer organization, or to maybe even have a job, we're probably going to open some positions up come late October. You should totally sign up for our list, or email me and I can sign you up too, because it's a great way to also get involved. So these are kind of the list of those workshops that we do that are called Choose It Yourself workshops. Our most popular one by far are stress and sleep, because guess what? College students struggle with stress and sleep. So this is kind of the folks who are in my office. So I'm one of the health educators. Joe is one of our other health educators. And then we also have another two. There's Mira and Mary Sue, who runs the Check It program. Joe and I share an office in the RWC. That's us loading a bunch of food in the van for OSNAP. But if you ever like see us on campus, please feel free to say hi. We are going to be working physically on campus a lot this semester. And so you should be able to see us around. And so I think I have a lot of questions. So I'm hoping to answer some questions. Yeah.
Which is a good thing. That means that you're engaged and paying attention. So yes, I will combine a couple questions that are related, but let's get right to them. So does the Student Health Center serve as the pharmacy as well?
So they have a pharmacy there, but the pharmacy so they don't serve as so you can't just send any prescription there. You have to, the prescriptions that you can get from their pharmacy are ones that are written by the doctors and nurses who are in the Student Health Center. So like if you go to the Student Health Center for an appointment and you get a prescription for, let's say hormonal birth control, you can pick it up at the pharmacy on campus.
Perfect. And can I get birth control at the medical center?
Can you get birth control yes, you can. we do hormonal birth control. We also do IUDs, both hormonal and non-hormonal. So mostly any kind of reproductive health method we have. Yeah.
Thank you. This question came in when you were talking about the coverage, but it says, does the medical cover students, children, dependents as well?
So we don't have a health insurance plan through the student health through campus. And the only folks who can use the on-campus clinic are students. You have to be an enrolled, matriculated student paying student fees. So your dependents would not, and family would not be able to use our services. However, if you are looking to talk about health insurance that would cover your whole family, you can meet with me and I am more than happy to help talk about stuff for everybody, not just for students.
Perfect. Are the counseling services short-term or do they allow multiple sessions?
So they do, you can go for multiple sessions, but they are short-term. So it is meant to be kind of like stuff in the moment. However, if you go in for a session and it feels like you're going to need more than what the clinic can provide, we have a case manager who can help navigate you into a therapist who can help you for a longer term process.
There's a lot of questions about the cooking class that blew up, and So people want to know how do they sign up, but two, how do they find a calendar of all of these events that you have going on?
Yeah, so I'll post all of our events on the Humboldt State events calendar, which I'll throw a link in there after we're done talking. Currently, they're not posted because we just confirmed yesterday with our chef that we were going to be hosting one. And so it'll go up probably next week. It'll be on that calendar. And in the calendar invite, there's like a way to sign up for them also on our Instagram, and it'll also be on our website as well. And so any one of those spaces, you'll be able to find it. And my guess is that we'll post the ones for September next week.
And how do they sign up?
Yeah, so there'll be a link there. You'll just fill out a Google form. And we usually cap it at 40 people. And then but the thing is like, if you've signed up for the first couple and then, we start to get a lot of people, we might not be able to give you ingredients for the other ones. So it kind of depends. It's first come, first serve.
Is Medi-Cal the same as Covered California?
No, so the Covered California Marketplace is a place where people can purchase or sign up for Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is free, so and you can also purchase plans through them. It depends on your income level. So Covered California signups, like if you have income, it may say that you need to purchase a plan, but if you are lower than a certain income level, then you're probably going to qualify for Medi-Cal, which means that it's separate. Medi-Cal is a part of the Covered California plan, but we can help through the whole process. So even if you're trying to purchase a plan as well.
Perfect. Who should I contact to get help with transferring my Medi-Cal to Humboldt County?
Me.
Easy enough. Let's see. What is the price to get an IUD if you have no health insurance?
So if you don't have health insurance, and we would try to sign you up for a teal card, which would cover it for free. And if you can't get us signed up for a teal card, at that point, we would start talking about prices. But I don't we're going to try to find the best way to get it for you. And we also have a health services fund. So if you have a health need and you don't have funding to cover it, and you're for some reason you're not insurable, there are lots of different reasons why you might not be able to access insurance. We do have ways for you to apply for grant funding to pay for certain health services as well.
Thank you, Raven. We have time for a few more questions. Says my COVID-19 vaccine record was updated to complete and on record without submitting anything. I was vaccinated. Do I need to submit anything else? Did the state send my vaccination status to HSU?
Yeah, so if it says it's complete in the health portal system, I would still upload your documentation, even if you've never uploaded it. It's possible that we were able to scan you in from the kind of the database, but I would still upload your documentation.
Thank you. Can transgender students get help with finding clinicians that are LGBTQ community and transition friendly?
Yeah, so we can help you access resources in our community. We don't do HRT through the actual clinic on campus as of right now, although hopefully we will in the future, but we can help you find local resources that do. And our clinicians are all trained to be sensitive to trans and gender nonconforming topics outside of, because healthcare is not just about HRT. So they're trained to be inclusive of those ideas and those identities, even outside. So even if you're like there for a cold, right?
Yeah. Next question, is there a place to buy OTC medical stuff on campus other than the vending machine?
So yeah, so the pharmacy actually in the Student Health Center does sell some OTC stuff, and then also the campus marketplace down by College Creek, and then the Jolly Green Commons, the Cupboard, both sell some over-the-counter stuff. So they sell like Pepto-Bismol and ibuprofen and things like that at those places as well.
There was a question here on, it looks like removal. It says, do they do birth control removal, or if I want to just change birth control combining that question. It's in here a couple times.
Yeah, so if you need to get your depo removed, your implant removed, or your IUD removed, they can do the removals for you. Yes, and if you are struggling with your current form of contraception and would like to change, they can help you with that as well too.
Is the OSAP produce pantry available to all students or only CalFresh recipients?
All students. You do not have to qualify for CalFresh in order to use those SNAP services. We do help with CalFresh, but you only have to be a student to use our services.
In order to get long-term therapy, do you have to have private insurance?
No. So we don't accept any form of insurance at counseling and psychological services or at the student health center. So you don't have to have insurance to use our services.
What about dental exams? Is there any plans or resources for dental care on campus?
So campus doesn't currently offer any sort of dental care. Although if you need assistance finding a dentist in the local community, we can help you with that.
There seems to be, what would be the email for those drop-in groups?
So I would just, the website is the best place to go. You can also email counseling@humboldt.edu if you want to ask more specific questions about them, or you can reach out directly to me.
Thank you. Is there a link that provides all this information outside of this recorded Zoom meeting?
Yeah, so so you could just go to wellbeing.humboldt.edu that has most of the resources there. I also recommend basicneeds.humboldt.edu that has a lot of these resources as well. And then this presentation, just the portion of my slides with a narration will be up on our website on Monday, which is at wellbeing.humboldt.edu.
Thank you so much, Raven. Due to time, we will continue to answer the rest of the questions. We'll just type a response in the chat so that we can begin to transition to our next session. But thank you so much. Let's give Raven a great appreciation. And thank you in our chat for joining us this afternoon. Being so informative and so helpful as always. You're such a resource, a valued resource on our campus, and you are greatly appreciated.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great orientation.
Thank you. And we'll get the rest of those questions responded to in the Q&A directly. Thank you. Okay, so I am going to now transition to our student life coordinator, Molly Kressel, who will help us facilitate our transfer student leader conversation. So Molly, it's all yours.
I meant to unmute myself and I turned off my camera. I'm really good at this Zoom thing. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Molly Kressel. I'm your student life coordinator here at HSU. I am lucky enough to work with some incredible individuals across campus that are here to help bring programs and engagement and events and clubs and organizations and all of that to your HSU experience. We often say that one of the best ways to do well academically is to have a connection on campus and to have a support system on campus. And so today we've brought some incredible student leaders here from HSU who have a little bit of experience under their belt developing that community and getting involved on campus. So if all of my incredible panelists could turn your camera on, I'm going to go ahead and have our team introduce themselves. So what I would love our panelists to do is go ahead and share your name, what your major is, where is home for you, and if you're a transfer student, what school you transferred in from. I think we might only have one transfer student on our panel today, but I could be wrong. So go ahead and share your name, your major, where's home, and if you're a transfer student, where did you transfer from? So my name is Molly Kressel. I majored in communications in undergrad, and I got my master's degree in conflict analysis and resolution and student affairs. And home for me is Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I've been living out here for 8 years now, 7 or 8 years now. So I consider this my home now. And I will go ahead and popcorn to Jose.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. My name's Jose Juan Rodriguez Gutierrez Hernandez Estrada, or for short, you can call me Suave. And I'm studying wildlife biology and communications. I kind of want to talk to animals in Espanol. And where is home for me? I love that question because home is where the heart is. And I honestly have left a little bit of my heart everywhere, starting from Mexico, my hometown, Long Beach, California, and SoCal, and now Humboldt. So yes, shout out to all the transfer students that aren't here but are also awesome. They taught me so much as an incoming freshman, so I appreciate them. All right, do I popcorn it now? All right, let's see who else we got up in here. Corey, go ahead, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Jose. Good to see everybody. Welcome, transfer students. I myself am a transfer student too. I think I'm going a little bit out of order, so let me slow down. My name's Corey. I'm a senior environmental studies major focusing in social justice and prison abolition. I'm from the Bay Area, Martinez, California, and I'm a transfer student from Diablo Valley College. I'll popcorn it over to Brandy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Corey. My name is Brandy, and I am a double major at HSU studying art studio and art education. So it's a good time. Home for me, I'm originally from Chico, California. I know this is such a hard question. I'm originally from Chico, lived in Paradise and Magalia for kind of a big portion of childhood life, and then I've been living over here in Humboldt County since I graduated high school, pretty much since 2017. So yeah, and with that, I did kind of the funny thing where I ended up going to a different community college away from home. So I transferred from College of the Redwoods in, I don't know, like spring 2019, and been at HSU since, and it's just really a really good time. So I will popcorn to, how about Chrissy?
Hi everyone, my name is Chrissy Thiebig. I'm a junior here at HSU. My major is environmental studies with an appropriate technology emphasis and a film minor. Yeah, all the questions, but yeah. Home I call Redondo Beach, California. It's in SoCal. So, but I agree with Jose, home is really where the heart is, and you take your heart with you where you go. So yeah, I'll popcorn it to Alondra.
Hi everyone, my name is Alondra. I'm a business major at HSU. My hometown is Lake Elsinore, California, which is down in Southern California as well. And I transferred from a community college in Wyoming called Gillette College.
Awesome. So I was wrong. We have 3 transfer students on this panel. All the more power, transfer student power. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about what brought you to HSU, and then once you got to HSU, what are some things that you got involved with that helped you build a community on campus? We'll do all around again. So go ahead and popcorn it. Why don't we do, I'll start backwards this time, where I'll have Alondra start. So share a little bit about what brought you to HSU and what you got involved with on campus that helped you build a community.
All right, well, what brought me to HSU is like the scenery, the cost effectiveness. I know it's one of the like better cost effective schools in the area or in like our system. So that was really nice. And just to come to such a beautiful campus was the cherry on top. Some things I've gotten involved in the past and currently are like Hermanas Unidas and Entrepreneurs Club, but I also work with Molly in the OSL, Office of Student Life, and I do some great things there with some amazing people, and it's really fun and fulfilling, and yeah, always feel free to pop in. Oh, and I'm gonna popcorn it to Brandy.
Okay, thank you. What brought me to HSU? Well, I kind of gave you a little bit of a taster, but I kind of wanted to get away from home while still being able to do community college. So I went to College of the Redwoods, and then because HSU, I was like already starting to establish myself here in the area. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Humboldt State. I think that was kind of my goal for a long time, just like because of the scenery here. It always kind of drew me. So, and I think a lot of us relate to that, to be honest. So yeah, and then I see folks in the chat saying SoCal gang, and I kind of felt like HSU is one of the other universities up here in NorCal. So it's kind of still staying here up in Northern California while pursuing my education. So Chico State, it's okay, you know, whatever, it's okay, but Humboldt State for me is where it's at. So yeah, thank you. And let me popcorn it to Corey.
We own. So yeah, last time I did it from my house, but everybody was like talking about the nature, and that's totally why I came up here too. So I'm actually at like Big Lagoon right now with Project Rebound, my team that I work with, and so everybody's like over there having a barbecue. Hey, wave. Yeah. And I'm sitting in my car right now doing this. So the nature is definitely like one of my favorite things up in Humboldt and the best thing to do. And are we doing what we've been involved with since we've been up here, or just what brought us here? Yeah.
Both.
And both. And so I'm involved with Project Rebound, and that's been like my favorite thing since being up in Humboldt. We actually just got published in the North Coast Journal today. Everybody go check that out if you can see it. But yeah, we're an anti-recidivism group that gets formerly and currently incarcerated students back in school. And so that's been really awesome, really enjoyable, met some great people, found some great community, and it's beautiful. So definitely join some cool stuff when you get here. There's some really cool people doing really amazing things. I'll popcorn over to Chrissy.
So what brought me to Humboldt was affordability, getting away from home, the nature, because like the first time like I came to Humboldt, I just like felt at home. So I was just like, this is it. This is my school. And the fact that they had environmental studies as a major here at school, that was my top 3 things choosing college. And going on to what I've been involved with on campus, I joined the Waste Reduction Resource Awareness Program, WRAP for short, and they do a bunch of different things. They have the BLC, which is the Bike Learning Center on campus. That's near the workout room area. It's underneath the stairways. So if you guys want your bikes fixed up and you're in the area, BLC is a place to go. Or the Reused Office Supply Exchange, Rose at the Warren House 53. You can get free office supplies. And my role at WRAP, I'm the compost director. So we do composting around school. I also got involved with CCAT, the Cultural Center for Appropriate Technology, which is an off-grid housing on campus. And they also do some classes that you guys can take. A lot of fun things going on. And yeah, I'll popcorn it to Suave.
Thank you, Chrissy. And before I say anything else, I just want to kind of piggyback off what you, Corey, and all the other panelists have been mentioning. Just that, yes, these are fun organizations you can join, but they're also meaningful. They're also powerful, and they really do help you feel like, you know, you are making a change, no matter how small it might be. And I feel like that's one of the best things about Humboldt that isn't advertised, but I'm gonna let y'all know now that you came here, living in a small community, living in a small town, there's a lot of ways for you to make a big impact by just how you spend your time. Now, back to the first part of the question, why did I come to HSU? Growing up in SoCal and even Mexico, there was a lot of big cities. There was more buildings and trees. So going from the concrete jungle to the actual forest was incredible. You know, we attended Hogwarts up in here. So for sure, it's a magical time. Here in the 707, and I hope that y'all get to enjoy it. Just go to the forest anytime you get the chance. Also, it's one of the only schools in California and in the entire country that has a great wildlife program. Our wildlife studies is even admired by professors at UC Davis from personal meetings that I've had with them. So you're at a great school, no matter what you're studying, and anytime you do get stressed out, you always got the force to kind of get you back. Regarding to the things that I've been involved in, I've had the honor of being involved in Ciencia para Todos, which means science for all. We translate scientific knowledge in English into Spanish. Also, Bigfoot News is a new thing a fellow student of mine and a fellow student and I created, where we kind of talk about the issues no one else is talking about, because we are college students. We need to have these tough discussions about Black Lives Matter, about Myanmar and what's happening overseas, and environmental disasters that kind of go under the rug. And also, I've been involved with the rugby team. I did not give them a shout out last time we did this, but shout outs to club sports. Those are my boys right there, and the sisters, because we have a women's rugby team too. If you never tried a sport, go ahead, go for it. You're not gonna miss out on nothing. And lastly, yeah, shout out to El Centro Académico and all the cultural centers out there. So yeah, that's it for me. Oh, I froze. Oh my goodness. Darn.
You did freeze for me. I think it must have just been on their end.
Nice.
So as people have been talking, I've been trying to drop in the chat some of the different websites that they've been talking about. But I want to provide you an overarching website that we use for a lot of events on campus and activities. And it's currently our Student Life and Event Services website. The current website link is osl.humboldt.edu, but it will be eventually changed to SLES, Student Life and Event Services.humboldt.edu. But the osl.humboldt.edu will forward you to that website. There you can find all sorts of information about activities on campus. The other department that I heard mentioned, maybe not so much this time, but a lot our last time, were our Centers for Academic Excellence. And underneath the Centers for Academic Excellence, these are our cultural centers. So we have our African American Center just got a new name, but I don't remember it off the top of my head, but we have our African American Center for Academic Excellence. We have El Centro Académico Cultural, which is our Latinx Center for Academic Excellence. We have our Social Justice, Equity, and Inclusion Center, and ITEP, which is our Native American Center for Academic Excellence. So lots of really incredible centers there that I provided the link. I also am dropping in the chat our link for our student organizations. And we utilize this platform called Lumberjack Link through a system called Presence. So that is a great way to find out all the different student groups we have on campus. I'm going to do a quick screen share just to show you a little bit about what it looks like. So on the main page, it'll show up with a picture of the quad when we had a concert in the quad. Obviously, right away, it's not going to look like this, unfortunately, because we're still navigating the pandemic. But we are super, super looking forward to bringing students back and having concerts and music and all of that on the quad. So once you come here, you can click over to organizations and find out all the different groups we have on campus. Right now, it's mainly student groups, but eventually we're also going to have academic departments in this sort. So if you want to search for a different category, you scroll up to the top, you could click categories, and you can find all the different club categories that exist. So College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, that's going to be like your social work club, your CRGS, so critical race gender studies. I think English is under here. Natural resources are going to be most of our science majors, and professional studies is going to be like our education and psychology and those different programs, but all sorts of different ways to get involved, like our associate students government. We have fraternity and sorority life here at HSU, all sorts of different things. So definitely check it out to see, find an organization that fits for you. So now I want to throw out a question to just our transfer students. So we got 3 of you here. Coming in as a transfer student is a little bit of a different experience than coming in as a freshman. So tell us about, how did you maybe overcome some of the barriers and fears to find a community and ways to get involved as a transfer student to HSU? So Corey, Alondra, and Brandy, take it away. I don't know who wants to start. Brandy, I see you talking, so I'll have you start. Because Corey's
Darn
pointing
it. Okay. No, I'm
Brandy, then go to Corey and then Alondra.
okay, cool. Well, I also realized in the last section I forgot to mention what I'm involved with here at HSU. And so I'm a lead program consultant at Youth Educational Services, aka YES, at Humboldt State University. We are a student-led volunteer program, and so currently we have 10 active programs, and they all kind of serve different needs in the community, in the local Humboldt community. So that's really exciting, and it's honestly a perfect segue for this question because for me, I felt like community college, everyone's kind of commuting, going to the college. There's not really like campus life. I felt like at least with College of the Redwoods. So in spring 2019, I was walking around on the quad with all of the, I don't know, tables, everybody trying to recruit, join this club and that club. And I saw YES, and YES really got me connected. And so I think just like Molly mentioned earlier in this like segment of just kind of finding something on HSU campus to be a part of, I think really grounded me in the new big kid school, as I like to call it, of the university. And so that is a real pleasure. And yeah, it's just been really awesome. I think what I take my big takeaway for it is I just feel like I've gotten a chance to consciously learn about volunteering and working with others. It's not about, oh, I'm gonna go in and help them. It's we're working together to create change. So it kind of avoids that savior model. And so with that, I felt like I really loved getting to work with others and then go out into the field and engage and get hands-on experience. Because for me, I was part of getting creative outlets to kids in the community. So yeah, so it's just really good and all that sort of stuff. So thank you. And I will pass it on to, Corey, right? And then Alondra? Okay.
Sure. Thank you. So I would say, I don't know where everybody's coming at. I don't know if you guys came straight out of high school and then went to junior college and then came to school. But for me, my kind of transfer period in between junior college and coming to HSU was off a 4-year break. And so I never thought I'd come back to school again. I was a complete adult. I paid all my own bills, lived in my own house, worked full time, and did that. And so when I got to Humboldt State, I still felt in adult mode, but hey, you're a student and this is the time to be a student. And so that's something I've been reshifting in my head is okay, maybe I can do a part-time job and take my FAFSA and take the time to read books and take the time to join clubs and take the time to relax and walk in the forest. And so that's what I would say, shifting gears is hey, you made it to college, now be a college kid, because junior college is a grind. That's not like college. This is college. So now do great, excel, be productive, but also remember you're in college now. So yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Alondra?
Yeah, so for me, I definitely think that there are some challenges that we face specifically as transfer students, whether or not we've taken a long break or not so long of a break. But when it comes to getting involved on campus and really finding your place, I would say that you have a lot of control on your end. So if you find out that, you want to, I see a lot of archery in the chat, and you find out it's not a good fit, you don't owe anyone your soul. You can try different things. You can go to different club meetings. You can try whatever you want and really find your passion. I wasn't always a business major. I just tried it and found out I fell in love with it. I wasn't always feeling it's kind of funny because I didn't think I'd get a job the first year I was on campus, but I found Molly's apartment, and I'm sure she remembers I bugged every single week coming in, is there anything I could do to help this? So, really find where you feel the best and keep at it. If you find out you're not feeling the best, don't go for it. feel in your power really as a transfer student here, because you already have that experience of junior college. Might as well finish off strong in that you're empowered and you're doing what you really want to do for your career and your life and your comfort.
You all are awesome. Was just reading through the chat and people are really vibing with what you all said. I do want to throw out a couple things. We are trying to build out some more concrete transfer student support ongoing at HSU. And one of the initiatives that we have moving forward is trying to start a transfer student organization. So if you are interested in being a part of this transfer student group and connecting with other transfer students, fill out that form. And we'll try to, actually, I think I'm tapping Alondra for this. Again, she works in our office and she's been a rock star. She's been helping me with this initiative. And so we hope to see you all soon and attend some of those transfer student events. But let's tap into some of these questions in the Q&A section. I'm gonna leave it up to whoever wants to answer. We don't have to popcorn this time. If you feel speak into it, feel free to dive in, but Jose, go for it before I jump into the question.
Yeah, no, it was about the questions. I've been like replying like crazy while all of you have been, putting everybody on some beautiful knowledge. One question that I'm kind of seeing be repeated a bit is how can you do a club, be a full-time student, work, and, still get a good GPA, pass your classes, do your homework, and even go outside. So that's not an easy answer, of course, but it is completely doable. It just depends, las ganas, how bad do you want it? What are you doing that is making that fire burn inside of you? Because if you're just doing things to go through the motions, it's not going to be feasible. That's just me speaking from my experience. I'm no life coach, but from looking into my own life, when I'm doing something that's mediocre that I don't really care about, it's so hard for me to want to give it my all. But let's say like last semester was one of the most hectic I ever had. I was a full-time student. I was working 2 jobs and I was in like almost 4 clubs. Why did I do this to myself? I don't know, because I really believed in all the clubs that I was part of. I believed that what I was learning in class, I could literally apply after class. And you have to get your money somehow. So I was like, all right, like I'll do this, do a little bit of this. If you can, try to get a job on campus because they're so understanding. And with my job in el Centro Académico Cultural, I was able to get paid for running these clubs. And for it, that didn't happen till later on, but it's beautiful when you can merge your income with what you're passionate about. That's why I came to college, because when I was 16, 15, and they told me in high school, like, if you never want to work a day in your life, do something you love. I'm like, I never want to work a day in my life. So, and there's people that will be like, oh, but you'll still get a little work, but it's grind, and it's grind that you want to love. And so I say it's possible if you believe in what you're doing wholeheartedly. And I was stable to end with the 3.8 GPA last semester. And I'm gonna tell you, it's doable if you want it. But if in the middle of the semester something happens that you weren't expecting, like, it's okay to let go of the clubs. It's okay for you to tell them, hey, I just had something happen in my life. Like, can I just take a smaller role in here? Or like, can I come back with y'all next semester? Like, it's okay, just communicate. And when you're in a good club, they're going to support you. They're not going to put you down like, oh, what? You got to take care of your life. Like, we all get it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm going to just start calling out questions as I see them. We have 2 questions about where can I find or apply to on-campus jobs? I'll just drop the link. We do have this great job search website, but I'm going to defer to our panelists to share about how they found their on-campus jobs.
So I found my on-campus job by getting an internship originally with RAP, and then I worked my way up from there, because with internships, the goal of after you finish the internship, if a role is open, that you take the role next in line, basically, and you can kind of work your way up from there. That and also Handshake is a good opportunity. You can look at just Humboldt State University, and there's a bunch of jobs popping up. But really it's getting into the club, organization, or community on campus that you're interested in, and like really getting to know those people, and then them telling you like, hey, we have so-and-so's leaving and this position's open and you can apply, and then things open up from there.
That was awesome, Brandy. Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, I can add an aspect to that. I think Handshake's awesome. I check Handshake a lot. It motivates me and shows me all different types of jobs. But I think the biggest thing for finding your space and your spot on campus is being present and like showing up in whatever capacity that is. Everything that like I've done at Humboldt that I've been like really successful with has happened purely by accident. Like the job I have right now with Project Rebound, there was a case going on in the news up here. I saw it. I said, this is an injustice. I hit up Doug, the director of the African American Center. I said, who do I need to talk to about this? And he was like, call Tony. And then I called Tony, and now I'm where I'm at. And so I think showing up, advocating for yourself, advocating for what you're passionate about, and that's going to like lead you in the right direction. I just saw in the chat, someone said, what is Handshake? Natalie, Handshake is a website that you connect to through your Humboldt State email, and it gives you job options, and it shows different types of recommendations. You make like a little bit profile, and then they show you like what you would like, what you might be interested in. And it's a really cool resource.
Awesome, Corey. Thank you so much. I'm going to have Alondra answer this question, but hey, Alondra, does HSU do club days? And where can we meet people from different clubs? And truthfully, I'll have all of you answer, but she helps to coordinate the club days.
So hopefully, I'm not sure what you're planning, Molly, but we used to have all, the UC quad full of clubs, just, tabling and giving out goodies and really like advertising, selling their clubs to students to join. And it's so fun and a great way to meet people with similar interests, as well as you can look at, our catalog. It's ever growing. If you don't see a club you like, you can create a club. Like anything you can think of, if it's not already a club, you can either find one close enough to it, or we can like get you set up with the steps to create a club. Just to go back to the question, the club days, we do have exceptional, super fun ways for you to get exposed to people who are so similar or have similar interests. And hopefully we're doing that this semester. We'll see. And if we're not, then I hope you all still take a look at the clubs list.
So we've been getting a lot of questions, both in the chat and also in the Q&A section, about what does it look like this semester for clubs. So we are not having an in-person clubs fair the same time we normally do. So historically, we have an in-person clubs fair the third Wednesday of every semester. So we will be starting off the year with a virtual clubs fair, and you'll be able to find that at our Presence Lumberjack link website, which I will drop that link again. I'm then hoping later on in the semester, after we can have events with more than 20 people. So right now, due to just the pandemic, until October 4th, we can only have events that are under 20 people. And then after October 4th, we're going to reevaluate to see where we are at with the COVID cases. So my hope is that we'll do something once we can start having larger events on campus. But in the interim, student organizations are permitted to table on campus and on the quad. What used to be called the University Center Quad or the UC Quad is now called the Student Activity Center Quad or the SAC Quad. And that is going to be your go-to place on campus to find student groups that are tabling. Historically, the first week of school would be a part-time job fair on the quad. The second week of school would be a volunteer fair, an internship fair on the quad. And the third week would be a clubs fair. Now, most of these fairs this semester are going to be held virtually, but for the volunteer fair and the internship fair and the part-time job fair, you're going to want to reach out to Academic and Career Advising, which again, their website is acac.humboldt.edu. And for the club sphere, you're going to go to it's presence or humboldt.presence.io. And so I'm dropping both those in the chat so you can get more information on those. Now we have groups that are wanting to be hosting in-person events. And so some clubs are definitely doing smaller in-person activities, but some are still going to be functioning virtually. And about half of our students right now are still virtual. And so we want to make sure that we meet the needs of both those who are going to be in person and those who are virtual. But I'm really excited for the day that we do return fully in person and seeing all this life back on campus. And I know a lot of student groups are already counting down the days for this semester, even when they can start gathering more. So if there's a group you're interested in, find them at the humboldt.presence.io and go ahead and message them. Let me see what else. So there's a question, if we can only have events with less than 20 people, how can some classes still in person? There have been some mitigated efforts to reduce the spread within the classroom, and there's more control within the classroom than there is with an event. So events are a lot more all over the map. So I'm gonna see if anybody can answer this, but is there a Native American led or focused club on campus?
Yes. There is a couple. I know that the first one that comes to my head is Intercept, and I am part of Intercept, and they have amazing counselors there to help you out. Lonix, Amanda, and Dr. Watts are all they're all incredible human beings, and I know their house is actually going to be open during the semester. So I believe, like Molly mentioned, just that site she keeps on dropping of where you can go ahead and check. I believe Intercept is a cultural center as well. Correct, Molly? No, maybe.
ITEP is, Intercept
Okay.
is an academic center. It's similar. They work very closely with ITEP. I'm going to be dropping all those links in the chat as well.
So yes, ITEP and Intercept are just two amazing communities as well. I know that the Native American Studies Department has increasingly been growing, and I'm sure that there are more clubs and opportunities than I'm aware of. But you know, from my research with the California Condor and the local Yurok tribe, I know that we are currently and continuously trying to form a larger connection between the local tribes and Humboldt State University, since we are on Wiyot territory, and we kind of just want to make sure we honor that and respect the land history here. So yes, that's a great question, CeeLo, and if you want to get involved, feel more than happy to let me know or look up in that site too. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so we only have 4 minutes remaining. So I do want to offer our panelists an opportunity to share their parting words of, if you could tell yourself one thing when you first came to HSU, what one nugget of information or knowledge do you want to share with our crowd today? And I'm going to start smack dab in the middle with Chrissy. Sorry to put you on the spot, Chris.
That's all good. My advice would be to keep at it. No matter what you're going through, if you start your group and your community soon, those people will be there to back you up during those hard times. They'll be there to support you. You get, like, going through finals, you can study with people, learn how other people like interact within the community, how other people learn. And by building that like connection and community, it just expands from there. Think of like the third person theory. Since this is such a small community, like everyone pretty much knows everyone. So if you're really feeling lonely, like think of it like hopping friend groups almost, learning different communities, expanding your resources. It's a great school for getting to know a lot of people in a short amount of time.
Who do you want to popcorn to, Chrissy?
I'll popcorn it to Corey.
Okay. Words of advice, just have the courage to grow. just have the courage to grow, push yourself in different directions, do hard things, spiritually, mentally, physically, socially, just whatever. Just have the courage to grow and just put yourself out there. So, Brandy.
Thank you. I would say the biggest thing, because I have to continuously remind myself this, is just to not like the assignments and doing all those things, like that's all great and you all want to meet your points and like learn and things like that. But I also like want to drive home, just remember like why, like the why you're doing, like the big picture overall, I guess, is really what I'm going for. If that makes sense. I feel like I can get lost in like details instead of just really like enjoying the moment and enjoying kind of what it is, because I'm already in my super senior year and I can't believe it's almost already over. So it just goes by so quickly, and I want to be able to look back on all of the moments that just meant a lot to me, rather than like, oh, like I didn't get that one assignment done just the way I wanted to, you know what I mean? So I don't know, maybe that's relatable, maybe not, but yeah, just enjoy it for what it is, and just be willing to grow and absorb as much as you can, because it's gonna go by.
Who you want a popcorn to? I think we've got Jose and Alondra left.
Oh yeah, Alondra.
Well, I would say my biggest piece of advice that I give to myself, any transfer, any new student, would be to know your resources, to go explore. Definitely, if you're feeling lonely or you're feeling like you're not meeting your academic goals, you're just not feeling sufficient, you're not feeling well, you're not feeling great. Know your resources, explore your resources, ask for help. Definitely have the courage to love yourself enough to know you deserve and can go to that help.
Thank you, all the panelists, for sharing that. And thank you, everybody in the chat. I mean, I wish all the best in university, honestly. And my one word of advice, or a couple words of advice, would just be that school is what you make it. Life is what you make it. And if you want to make it something great, no matter what adversity presents itself, you will make it something great. You will, okay? Believe in yourself. And like everybody's been saying, have courage in yourself, know your resources, know thyself, love thyself. And that's the best words of advice I can go ahead and give. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my Instagram down below. Give me a follow so we can go ahead and turn up whenever this is past us. We got some cool events happening if all goes well by October. And much love, mucho amor. Les deseo lo mejor. Wish you all the best. All right, I'll stop talking. Molly, take it away.
Thank you all so much. Again, definitely check out our amazing resources we have available. Know that if you need help, you aren't alone in this. Come hit up our office and we can help you connect with wherever you need to be connected. There's lots of things to do on campus this year and virtually. So we're so excited to welcome you back and welcome you to HSU. I'll hand it over to Dr. Ford Turnbow.
HSU.
These are some amazing students. Y'all are phenomenal. Thank you for being here and for sharing your experiences and for bringing your personality. I love that. I know many of you, so it's so good to see you. I can't wait until I can see you in person. So thank you for sharing your stories. Okay, to my orientation students, I just put a link in the chat. It is time to go meet with your orientation leaders. So click on that link I just placed in the chat and find your last name. Click the link next to your name and that will take you to your OLs. So after that, you will be back here for your virtual tour with admissions. And so right now, everyone should be departing. I'll drop it one more time. Again, you just click on that link, find your last name, and it should take you to where you're supposed to be. If you have issues and need help, let us know. We are here to help you. But in the meantime, have fun. Happy you all are able to get in. Again, just drop the link again as requested. You can select that link, find your last name, and that should take you to the link for your orientation session. Well, your orientation leader session. There are about 25 or so of you remaining. Once again, you should not be in this webinar at this time. You should be with your orientation leaders. If you have issues or need help getting to that location, let us know. But again, all you need to do is click on that link right there in the chat, find your last name, and then click on the link next to it.
Hi, Luis. You're supposed to be with your orientation leaders right now. I'm going to put the spreadsheet back into the chat, and you're going to be there until 12:15 when you're going to come back in here for the last session, which is
2:15.
2:15.
I see students are starting to trickle back in. We still have about 6 minutes before we start with our last session of the day. So just hang tight while we test a few pieces, and then we will start promptly at 2:15. Okay, I see we have majority of our groups finishing up, as we are just about at 2:15. We thank you for being with us all day today and hope that this has been insightful. And we are going to turn it over to our admissions team, who is going to help us demonstrate and show you where our resources are here on campus. Thank you so much for being here. And as a reminder, we'll be back here at 10 a.m. in the morning. We will still be here answering questions in the Q&A box here below that our admissions team will be responding to for any admissions related questions. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Pedro Martinez, who is a director of admissions, and he will be introducing you to Rachel, and we'll go from there. So Peter, it is all yours.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Dr. Turnbow. So hi, everybody. I am the Director of Admissions, your Director of Admissions, and now have seen you get all the way to registered students here as a lumberjack. So we're excited to have you. Rachel is going to be our tour guide today, kind of walking you virtually across campus and kind of looking at the different facilities, but I'll be monitoring your questions in the Q&A. So if you go down there and you have a question, feel free to post those and I will dive in and try to answer those as we go. I'll try to consolidate. So if I don't answer right away, it's because I'm waiting for a moment to go ahead and bring your questions together. We may answer it live. We may type it in. It just really will depend on your question. But at the end of it, we want to hear them. We want to hear what's going on, and we'll try to get you the best information possible at the time and get you acquainted with your new home. And if you're meeting with us virtually and you're here, this will be the place that you'll see eventually when you get on campus if you're doing online classes and physically not going to be here this year. So we want to explore campus and show you where your new home is. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Rachel. So we're a quick introduction and let her start moving around campus.
Well, thank you, Peter. Yeah, so my name's Rachel. I just graduated up in May. So I majored in environmental science and management. I minored in communications. I lived on campus my first 2 years, and I'm currently living off campus in Eureka. If y'all need recommendations for food or for beaches, please let me know. And I will definitely show those to y'all. But to get started, I do want to show you some of the different food options we have on campus, just so you can get familiar with where to get food. If you guys can see my screen okay, this is like right when you enter campus. We have the marketplace over here. This is basically going to be your grocery store on campus. We've got all your staple goods, cereals, canned goods, toiletries. We also have a fresh sandwich and soup bar there as well. And then your other options for food, I'm going to pull up the campus map over here. But if you go to the Student Activity Center, or what was known as the UC Quad before, we've got a couple different dining options here as well. On the bottom floor, this is one of my favorite dining options. This is going to be the Depot. This is basically our food court on campus. So we've got a pizza bar, a smoothie bar, burritos, Los Bagels has a bar here as well. And that's a local food shop that I really enjoy. It's one of my favorite spots in Arcata. And then on the third floor of this building, we also have what's now called Bigfoot Burgers. It's on the third floor up here. They'll have some pretty good food there as well. All of the dining options on campus, you can pay for using your meal plan points or debit, credit, cash. So feel free to head over to any of those to grab food on campus. And then another option you have that's probably going to be your most commonly used and the cheapest option on campus is found in the Jolly Giants Commons. This is where we have the J Cafeteria. It's on the third floor here. Let me see if I can take us up there real quick. But
Rachel,
the J,
as you're searching for that, there's some good questions that are just starting to come in. Someone asked where vegan food might be found.
we have vegan food at, I think, all of the spaces, the dining options on campus. So we're really big on vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free options. Since we are a very sustainable campus, those kind of help us keep the campus a little bit greener that way. There's a vegan bar in the depot that I mentioned earlier. There's always going to be vegan options at the J and the J Grill as well.
And there are also the hours generally of the depot. Now, granted, things do change with COVID and some of the hours and functioning, but generally when it would be open.
Yeah, so the depot is going to be open. I think they open at 7 a.m. So you can like pop in there right before your 8 a.m. class, grab some breakfast. There's some seating right next to the sidewalk so you can people watch right before class. And then that one closes around 6 o'clock. And then I see a question about grabbing beers for those who are 21 plus. So at the depot, there's, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the coffee shop and they do sell beer at the coffee shop at the depot.
And I think there's some upgrades too, but it's somewhere in that facility. And then we'll get that. We'll kind of identify what that looks like. And then could students actually that live on campus eat or don't live on campus eat at the J?
Yes, definitely. All of the dining options are available to both on-campus and off-campus residents. And like I said, this one is going to be your most affordable option. It's the J Cafeteria. The food will change every day. It could be Italian food, Mexican food, nacho bar, ramen bar. They always have salad over here. They always have cereals, chips, soft serve ice cream, that kind of good stuff. And then right outside, we also have the J Grill, which is basically our diner on campus, cheeseburgers, hamburgers, onion rings, milkshakes, and stuff like that. And then I think that's it for dining options other than the library cafe, which when you're studying in the library, you can just pop by for some quick caffeine, some pastries and energy bars as well.
There's also a question about these reusable containers and how they get a new one or the coin that allows us to readjust and continue to be sustainable.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite things. They're called our Aussie boxes. And they're these plastic containers that you can take back to your dorm or back to your house. And then when you're done using them, we have these little drop boxes around campus that you drop the box into, and then you'll actually get a coin returned to you from that station. And that coin is what you'll use to get another box if you're taking some to go as well. And then I do see a question about job opportunities at the cafeterias around campus. So dining is a space that you can get part-time job work at, and they're really flexible with your student schedule and everything like that. And then the tour that I'm using right now, the 360 tour, is found on our website. If you just look up HSU 360 tour, it should come up. And I'm gonna move past dining and kind of show you guys some other resources. If y'all have any final questions about that, or Peter, if you want to pull out some of the most important ones for me.
No problem. I'll definitely collect some of the questions and get them ready for live chat with you in a moment.
Cool. So I'm going to take y'all to the library circle. This is going to be the HSU library, and to the right of it is what we call the library circle. So you're going to have a lot of resources found near here. The library is a really great space for connecting with other students, utilizing our brain booth activities. So what's really cool is the library really motivates you to get some studying done. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed from that studying, on the third floor, we have a massage chair. We've got puzzles, coloring books, VR station, an airplane simulator as well. And then even during finals week, we'll have a bunch of therapy dogs come to campus. So you get to play with puppies, kind of relieve yourself from some of the stress of finals. And we are part of the CSU interlibrary loan. So if we don't have a book that another CSU does have that you're looking for, talk to the information desk and they will be able to get that book up to you within a week for you to use. Another great resource, which I used my freshman and sophomore year, a lot of my professors would put their books on reserve in the library. I saved a few $100s by just renting it out for a couple hours at a time at the library, rather than just buying the textbook for myself. And it forced me to be at the library for 2 hours. So I got a lot of studying done that way while saving some money. Do y'all have any questions about any of the library resources?
I'm looking for some right now. I'm looking throughout. most of the questions that came up the last time is, how do I get a book? Where would I pick up rental books, and some of those other items as well?
Cool, yeah. So we're gonna have all of the like physical copies of books on the second floor of the library. And then picking up those rental books, the books that professors have on reserve, those are gonna be found at the information desk, which is right when you enter the building.
And there was some updates recently that the library is still getting some retrofits for earthquake protection. And so in doing that, the bottom floor is open. That's where you can get your ID cards, and that's where you can go ahead and get some of the additional resources. They are working there. I'm going to insert a link in the chat for the library that has a lot of the latest information on how to access these things as of right now. The library looks to open at the end of the semester and really hopefully be back on track with all the renovations and be able to be open fully. As we're going through this, though, there are some things that you need access to. So this link that I'll be sharing will provide you everything you need to know about that. So we'll go and put that in the chat, get you updated, and kind of give you some of that information as we continue to check out your questions and continue to give you some answers. And I'll let Rachel keep moving on.
Yeah, as you were talking, I just remembered another resource in the library on the basement floor is our writing studio and our math and science tutoring labs. Those are also going to be opportunities for a part-time job on campus. If you're really good at any of those subjects and you want to help tutor other students, head down there, get that job, and you can work together with some of the students on campus. And then if you do need the tutoring services, those are going to be free for students as well. And then right next to the library, for those of you who may not want to drive or who don't have a car up here right now, we have these two awnings over here. So that's going to be one of our bus stops. And what's really cool about your HSU ID, it's going to be the most important piece of plastic you have during your stay at HSU. So your HSU ID actually gets used as a free bus pass. You can get rides up to the beaches, down to Eureka, throughout all of Arcata. It goes all the way down to Scotia. It heads over to the airport as well. And this is where the bus will be located and picking up students from campus. There's also a bus stop located on the south end of campus too. Other transportation forms include our Zip car, which you can rent out by the day or by the hour. And we also have Zagster bikes, which work on the same renting by the day or by the hour system that you can take to Arcata really quick. Although the plaza, if you are living on campus, is only about a 15-minute walk from campus. We have the farmers market that goes on every Saturday. I would highly recommend checking that out if you can. There's also a couple grocery stores, a lot of local food places down there. And just sitting on the plaza is pretty nice, a great way to get a feel for the community. And then we'll head over to the right again. This building right here is going to be our student health and services building. So what's really cool about this is a lot of your medical needs will be taken care of here. It kind of works as an urgent care facility. So we offer everything from Band-Aids to x-rays. You also, as an HSU student, get 8 free therapy sessions every semester. We have what's called our counseling and psychological services. Take advantage of it if you can. It's really great if you get test anxiety, if you get homesick. We have group therapy workshops that you can work with other students who might be experiencing the same feelings that you are on campus. And they're just super friendly there. You can pick up prescriptions from them. If you have general questions, just need a free health screening, you can get that all done at the SHC. And then the building right next to that is going to be Nelson Hall. So we have a couple different cultural centers in here. We have the African American Center of Academic Excellence and the Latinx Center of Academic Excellence. You don't have to fall within either of those ethnic backgrounds to utilize those services, but they are a great way to get familiar with some of the experiences of different students from around campus and around the area. They also have free study spaces, free printing, and they usually host programs around campus that are pretty fun to attend. And then in relation to that, we're going to head down this street. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to get to it from here. Oh, unfortunately, I can't. But if you head down the street and to the right up that driveway, we have the Multicultural Center. That's where we have our Queer Student Union. It's where we have our Women's Resource Center, and it's also where we have our Multicultural Club. So those are also great resources for students who have any questions about being a part of any of those communities and wanting to get resources for that. They also have free printing and free study spaces there. Usually the Multicultural Center will hold a potluck, so you can try food from different countries. It's a really great way to meet other students as well. Are there any questions that are super pertinent right now?
Right now, they're kind of wondering some of the places to pick up mail and where they might find that in different places when it comes down to living on campus, like College Creek. They're also, again, there's a couple questions that we're going to answer about student IDs and get through that, but we'll keep going through there. They also talked about print stations, maybe around campus. And I know I've been answering a couple questions around that. Bikes, where bikes are, kind of where we get some support for putting our bikes and also getting some repairs on our bikes. And they also have some questions about recreation and some of the rec stuff that we have to offer.
Oh yeah. Let me show y'all some of the housing and mailing options. So in the Jolly Giants Commons, so that top floor is going to be where the J Cafeteria and the J Grill are located. And then right below that is where you're going to have the mailing office. So if you have packages to pick up, you have letters to pick up, and you're living on the north side of campus. So that's going to be Canyon, that's going to be the Hill, Cypress, and Creekview. You will be picking up mail from Jolly Giant Commons on the second floor from the mailing office. And then if you're living on the north side of campus, which is going to be our campus apartments or our College Creek apartments, you'll be picking up your packages from this building right here. This is the marketplace, the back end of the marketplace. You'll go into the community center to pick up your packages. And then the mailbox for these two housing units are going to be found within the dorms themselves. And then as for student recreation, we have our student recreation center. This is kind of towards the top of campus, right next to the Redwood Bowl. So if y'all are looking to use the gym, we have what's called the big gym on campus. This is our student recreation center, or the SRC. All you need is your HSU ID to get in. Those fees are already included in your tuition. And what's really cool about this building, if y'all haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet, we have this huge rock climbing wall in here. You don't have to have been rock climbing before. You can rent out rock climbing shoes and rock climb on this bouldering wall over here. And then utilize any of the weightlifting, cardio equipment. And then in the back, we even have like a stretching yoga space as well. With that, we also have about 140 clubs on campus. So if you're looking to get active, to meet other students interested in the same things as you, feel free to check out all of our clubs located on our website. And then as for bikes, because students do love to bike downtown, in the community forest, right outside the Recreation and Wellness Center, we actually have a bike repair station right underneath these steps, where we have HSU students who are willing to fix your bike for free, teach you how to repair and maintain your bike as well. And then another cool program in here is our center activities. What's really cool about those guys is in 2017, we won the most outdoorsy school. We got donated a ton of gear, kayaking gear, backpacking gear, camping gear, things like that. And we'll actually put on classes as well for students to get together and kind of learn these new outdoor skills. We've had surfing classes, rock climbing classes, and all of those tools and gear are going to be available for students to rent out. Usually it's like $15 for a weekend, around that price range. And then if y'all are looking to rent a bike on campus, since we're speaking of bikes, right outside the Student Business Services building, we have Harry Griffith Hall over here. And right in front of Harry Griffith Hall, if this map was conducive to what I'm doing, oh my gosh. Right next to Harry Griffith Hall is where we have one of the bike racks that hosts all of our Zagster bikes. And then usually in front of each building, we do have bike racks available for students to lock their bike up or to lock up their skateboards as well. And then with that,
Rachel, can you talk a little bit about, some of the rental equipment and some of the places where they go and actually go rent equipment, and how that kind of works for students when they want to go kayaking, if they want to do adventuring of other types that they need low cost equipment to go do?
Yeah, so like I was saying, in the Student Recreation Center, if you head down this way, it's our Recreation and Wellness Center, actually. It's located right next to the Redwood Bowl, right next to all the gyms. This building right here is going to be where we have center activities, which is where you can go ahead and check out some of that equipment that I was mentioning. We also, if you are part of the outdoor living community, you'll be able to meet up with some of the other students you're living with and get together for activities like that. In Eureka, we also have a space on the water dedicated to HSU students where you can do rowing, kayaking, paddleboarding, and that kind of good stuff too. But yeah, if you have any questions about that, this is definitely going to be your building. Head inside here, center activities, they're going to be your guides. And then heading back up next to the gym, because I see a question about the pool. We have the kinesiology and athletics building up here. If y'all are interested in scientific scuba diving, in swimming, water polo, or anything like that, we do have an Olympic-sized swimming pool in this building. It is right over here. A lot of students that I know will actually go work out at the gym really quick, and then as they're cool off, they'll go into the pool and do a quick lap. And then right up the stairs over here is where we have our lumberjack arena. If y'all like to watch basketball or volleyball, you head through these doors, you'll actually get to watch some of the games put on by our HSU students. And then if y'all have questions about recreation, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and head over to the art quad. I think everyone should get a chance. I want to show y'all some of my favorite spaces on campus. Even if you're not an art student, I would highly recommend going inside Art B. You can see some of the artwork done by our students on campus. We actually have the most artists per capita in Humboldt County. And this right here is something that everyone should get to check out. This was done by a student back in the 80s, I believe. His name was David White. This is called Dave Wood's Garden. Once you head inside here, definitely head to the back. As his signature, he chopped off his ponytail and he stuck it to the wall right in this corner. This picture doesn't do it justice. So head over there, check it out.
There's a lot of questions too about where some of the things that you might need to know about where facilities are open, what's going on, especially with all these fluid changes. Campus Ready is our website that's right on our main page. And if you go to that website, it has all the updates when it comes down to any restrictions on the facilities, some of the recent guidelines, anything to deal with our facilities, when they're open, when they might close, anything that's going on right now that you need to keep up to date, you want to visit Campus Ready. And so if you visit that page, definitely explore it out. It'll have the guides, it'll have information, and we're trying to continue to share that across our chat. So if you see that in our chat, feel free to go and do that. But primarily, we're trying to respond also to the Q&A questions, and we're putting that link in the Q&A responses as well. So just giving you a heads up as we continue to explore campus.
Awesome, thank you. I'm trying to think of what other resources would be helpful to y'all.
They're kind of wondering how the best way to find classes. So when they're looking at their class schedule and they're going around, how would you find campus facilities around campus of where would I have my class when it comes time? So as a student, how'd you find class?
Cool, yeah. So my freshman year, I always had the map pulled up on my phone. It had like the grid work done. So I would see where the building was. It would be like A2. I would head over to that building. I also had a lot of classes with people I lived close to, so we went around and tried to find them together. I can take y'all on a small walk around tour, show you what majors are found in each of the buildings. That might be kind of helpful for each of you if you know which buildings your classes are located in. Maybe if I mention them, they might sound familiar enough for you to check out. So we'll start over here, actually. So this is that first building I was talking to y'all about. This is the Student Businesses and Services building. If y'all do have questions about your classes, you want to change classes, change your major, declare a minor and things like that. The office of the registrar is found in this building. This is also where the office of admissions is, so feel free to head inside here, ask me or Peter questions if you get a chance to run into us in this building. We also have the University Police Department in here as well. So if y'all have any questions for them, if late at night you're walking back to your dorm and you need someone to escort you, we have our escort program available as well. And our police officers are really nice on campus. If you lock yourself out of your car, they'll actually help get them out for you. They'll help you jumpstart your car. And they're just pleasant to talk to every once in a while. And then on the second floor, we have everything financial related. So if y'all need help with FAFSA, student loans, buying a parking permit, paying off student debt or anything like that, head up to the second floor of this building and we can help you take care of that there. And then across the way, we'll start our business or our major tour. So this building right here is going to be Harry Griffith Hall. On your schedule, it's going to say HGH. This is where we have most of our environmental resources and engineering classes. It's where we'll have our child development classes. It's also where we'll have all of our education classes as well. And then up the way to the science complex, we have a couple different buildings up here. Let me see if I can get a better view. Ooh, cannot. Let me do an overview of the map. So walking from the student and businesses services building, if you walk up this way, we'll have two different buildings over here. That's going to be our natural resources and forestry building. So the natural resources building is this nice brown one right here. This is where we have all of our environmental science and resources classes, our oceanography classes. It's also where we have our fire lab on campus too. And then the building right next to it is going to be the forestry building. That's where we have our forestry classes, our wildland and soils classes. And then headed up the way, this is one of the tallest buildings on campus. This is the behavioral and social sciences building. If you have classes in anthropology, computer science, critical race, gender and sexuality studies, criminology and justice studies, Native American studies, math, philosophy, psychology, sociology, social work, or world languages, you will have your classes in this building. So this is home to 11 different majors. I think everybody ends up in this building at some point or another during their 4 years at HSU. It's where we have one of our larger lecture halls. So the Native American Forum does work as a lecture hall that you will potentially have classes in as well. And it's going to be located right behind this building. As for our wildlife and fisheries classes, we do have the wildlife and fisheries building over here. It's going to be across the way from the forestry building that I just mentioned. This building's really cool. Even if you're not a science major, I would recommend checking it out. We have about 1,000 species on display in this building. We also have a bird room upstairs where we have all these birds that you can look at, and they kind of keep you on track studying with all these eyes watching you. We have a couple extinct species in here as well. Some pretty cool stuff. Again, the wildlife and fisheries classes will be found in this building. As for some of our other science majors, we have Science B located right here across from the greenhouse, which is to my left, connected to Science C on the other end of it. Science C and Science B are going to be home to all of our life science classes, biology, botany, zoology. It's where we have all of our labs on campus too. So if you are taking labs, this is most likely where you're going to be meeting up. And then around the way behind this building, which I can't head up to right now, this building behind the trees is going to be Science A. That's where we have most of our physics classes, our chemistry labs. We have our cadaver lab in there too. So if any of y'all are going to be taking classes like that, you'll get to see some of that gross and cool stuff in that building. With that, we'll go to the art quad. So for some of my art students, we have our music buildings over here, Music A and Music B. We have our Fulkerson Recital Hall, If y'all are in any music clubs, you'll most likely be meeting here as well. We have both of our art buildings, Art B right here, Art A. If you're taking drawing, painting, ceramics, 3D foundations is a big one, jewelry making, you'll be taking those classes in those two buildings. And then what's really cool about HSU is we get a bunch of performers to come up to campus. Mac DeMarco is a really big hit up here. He comes up pretty often. And we've had people like Bill Nye the Science Guy up here, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the Blue Man Group. And they perform in the John Van Duzer Theater, along with our theater students, our film students, and our dance students. Another building to note is Founders Hall. So this one is going to be where a lot of your first year classes are located. It's also where we have the largest lecture hall on campus. So if you have any of those GEs to take, you'll most likely be taking it up here. This is also going to be home to our English majors, our geology majors, geography, history, political science, world religions, all those good stuff. If I have any recommendation for you, it's to not be late to this building. These stairs are brutal. Your legs will be sore by the time you get into your class. So make sure you show up a little bit early to these guys. And then right down near the Student Activity Center, which I mentioned earlier, this building right here is going to be Siemens Hall. This is where we have our business and economic classes. We also do have a few communications classes that take place in there as well.
Rachel, when it comes down to print stations, are they free?
So there are going to be some free ones on campus. A lot of our cultural centers will actually have free printing if you go over there and talk with them. Like I mentioned in Nelson Hall right here, we have our Latinx Center of Academic Excellence and our African American Center of Academic Excellence that offer free printing services. The Multicultural Center has free printing services. And then we do have quick print kiosks found around campus. Those printing services are going to be 4 cents a page. Same with the printers in the library, and they print in black and white. Did you have any other questions?
There's a couple questions all still around the Tupperware and kind of where, how do they use the program? How do they check their dollars? Maybe where they do laundry and, being familiar with some of the facilities, kind of like where facilities might be. A lot of this definitely can be responded with your resident advisors when it comes down to your laundry facilities and your housing spaces. But definitely Rachel can kind of share some of the things that she knows about it. And really, can you even use your own Tupperware with the Aussie program, or is it really just the Tupperware that they provide?
So it is going to be the Tupperware that they provide, and they always have it available at the dining options on campus. So there's a couple different drop boxes. One of the drop boxes is going to be found in the depot. There's one also in the J as soon as you walk down there. And then usually next to those Aussie boxes, we have these like point checkers that you can scan your HSU ID. It'll tell you how many points you have left. You can refill your card at those stations as well. And then with laundry facilities, I'll go through where each of those are going to be located for each of the different housing options. So if you're living in College Creek, you'll actually have your laundry facilities on the bottom floor of each of those buildings. Campus apartments, you have a separate like housing structure right outside the door that you're going to have your laundry units in. For the Hill, those are going to be found on the bottom floor as well as in Canyon. I believe that Cypress has on the top floors, each floor will have their own laundry facility, whereas the bottom 4 buildings will be sharing a laundry space. And then Creekview Complex is the same as some of the others where the laundry facilities are found on the bottom floor as well. I don't know if the prices have changed, but when I was living on campus, it was $1.50 to wash and then $1.50 to dry. And then you pay with quarters, or you can use your HSU ID, load points onto that and use that to pay.
Rachel, if you can, with the last few minutes, kind of even explore some of the places off campus, like the beaches, give recommendations. Even this other facilities are not found on campus itself, like the lab that we have in Trinidad, and the Coral Sea, kind of where they might be in those locations when they're getting information, trying to figure out where they go from there.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly love it up here just because of the natural life. The marine lab is going to be found in Trinidad. It's maybe a 30-minute drive from campus. It's going to be open to all students. You don't have to be a marine biology student to access this facility. But what's really cool about it is you head inside and they have all these aquariums on the left-hand side. You can check out some of the native fish species from the area. And then in the back, we also have a live touch pool that you can like play with sea cucumbers, check out some of those species too. And then my recommendations for beaches, I don't know if they have it here, but Moonstone Beach is one of the prettiest beaches in the area. If y'all like rock climbing, there's actually this huge cliffside that you'll usually see students and local community members climbing up. This is also what I call the dog beach. If you have food and you're having a picnic on this beach, you'll definitely get some furry friends to come up to you and hang out for a little bit. This is very nice on a warm day. And then I do want to show y'all downtown Arcata. So this is about a 15-minute walk from campus. This is where we have the farmer's market, which this picture looks like it was taken at the farmer's market. This happens every Saturday. I don't know if y'all can hear the audio for this, but there's usually music going on, people hanging out, super lively. You get fresh produce, just some nice goodies. It's a good way to spend your weekend, in my opinion. This is distracting sounds.
Hey, Rachel, they
Yeah.
asked a great question. Like, when you rent a kayak, could you go kayak in, say, Trinidad? Could you go out there and take the equipment out to those areas? Like, where's places you may have kayaked or places you've adventured with some of that equipment and taken it out?
That is a good question that I don't have personal experience in. Do you have an answer for that one?
Yeah, definitely. So there is a lot of our colleagues actually go and kayak in Trinidad. So there are spaces that they'll take it out. They definitely have the recommendations on how they launch from the pier there, because then it'll be a little subtle, because the actual Trinidad, that large rock that's there, is actually protecting that pier, and so you're able to get into the water pretty easily. But I'm sure some others on the team might chat in some little things that are recommended in some places they go out to. There's a couple different places. So as you talk to folks, ask recommendations. There's plenty of people that are your current students that are here, along with some of the staff that generally go out. Great people to ask, and they may have some recommendations or point you to a person that might have some great recommendations. I know that's what I do. And it just continues to surprise me on some of the different places they explore. There's other places like Fern Canyon and other places that students don't even know about that they may even visit in the area, right?
Yes, definitely go to Fern Canyon. That's about 45-minute drive to an hour up north. It is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot even explain how pretty it is in words, but it is basically this canyon that is lined with maidenhair ferns. There's a creek that runs right through the middle, and it's this redwood forest that is just kissing the Pacific Ocean. Usually there's a ton of elk up there that you can see face to face. I also saw a question asking what day of the week the farmers markets takes place on. So that's going to be every Saturday from, I think, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. sometime in the morning, and it usually goes a little bit longer because people are enjoying their time there and hanging out.
And I just answered the question with the link to the Arcata Plaza Farmers Market, and it gives you all the updates of the hours and times, and gives you anything that you may need to know about the farmers market. And they're wondering, like, maybe places to park, where to go in some of those areas. So
Recreationally or on campus?
that's a good question. I'd probably say both.
Oh, yeah. So for Fern Canyon, if you don't have a car that is able to drive through a small creek, you can definitely park a little ways out and then walk up to the site. It adds about a mile to your hike up there. But there's a couple different parking spaces up there. At Moonstone Beach, you can park right along the beach. On campus, if you guys can see my screen, this area is going to be general parking. So if you have a residence parking permit, you can park there. If you have a general parking permit, you can park there as well. There is residence parking right here, residence parking back here. I hope this is clear for y'all to see.
And actually,
Right?
I'm going to switch screens in just a moment to kind of give them that, if you don't mind me sharing.
Yeah, go for it. Let me stop my share.
And we'll jump in with something else for y'all. So if you've never visited our website in a degree, there is actually a full interactive map. It's humboldt.edu visit, and there's an interactive button. This is your map. So you can actually see all the parking spaces, the facilities. And if you look at this side menu, am I sharing the right screen? Can you see the map?
Yes.
Okay, great. I was like, I hope they're not everyone seeing my email. When it comes down, you can see the academic buildings. And if you click on this little tab here on the right, it will actually have all those buildings like Harry Griffith. It'll kind of point it, if you highlight over it, there's a lot of different information that you can find. Visitor favorites, any place that you might look for in Founders Hall. These little activations will kind of help you see what's going on. And you can zoom out a little bit and kind of check out where downtown is and so forth. So all of these parking areas are found here, and you can look at any of those areas. So just by clicking on any of the tabs, when it comes down to student life, where's that at? Where's dining? You can just click on it and it'll give you all the places for dining, student life, and so forth. And as you click on these items, if you look, this little dialog will pop up and give you any of the information and give you directions. So it'll help you out to get anywhere around campus and kind of help you find a lot of the different things that you're looking to get to. So hopefully that is helpful in trying to explore. Is there anything, Rachel, that you would want to point out on this map that may make it easier as far as directional for some of our students?
Yeah, I kind of wish I pulled up this map earlier. This is a nice viewpoint. And I also wish I had this map when I was coming to school here. This is a nice update. It's cool to see where everything's going on. You can see on the left side, that is going to be the north end of campus. So that is where you'll have all of your north side housing units. Those are going to be all the guys that are sharing that mailing space in the Jolly Giant Commons. And yeah, this is a really helpful guide for where to park on campus. A lot of the housing units will actually have resident parking located right next to them. So that's pretty helpful if you want to get to your dorm pretty quickly.
And so, yeah, so I'm looking at chat, just kind of making sure we're closing up. It was a real great treat to have everybody here with us and kind of chat with us. I want to let you all know that our front desk at the visitor center right there in SBS on the first floor, we have amazing students like Rachel that are there, and we're going to try to continue to staff that full time during this window of time when you have questions, wondering if you have something as you're walking around campus that you might ask a question, ask our tour guides. Our tour guides are usually the ones that are sitting at that front desk, and so we're a great resource and can lead you to the other places as you begin to get more comfortable with on-campus resources. But all the departments try to do is their best to help you out. But definitely, if you have a question, come visit us. We're there at that desk, and we'll help you out as much as we can. So I'll hand it back off to, I believe, Roger.
Yep. Well, that is going to wrap up our day today. We have one more day tomorrow. I'm going to share the screen real quick. So just as a reminder, and I'll put this link, this is our transfer orientation schedule. As a reminder, we start up again tomorrow at 10 a.m. And you're going to click on this link. It goes back to the same webinar. So we'll see you then. And then tomorrow you'll be able to talk to your major academic departments along with your colleges. So we'll be a little bit more academically focused, but we'll also have some community building in there. Hope you all had a wonderful day. We love our transfer students. I know it's been a tough day, long day. So I hope you get some time to enjoy this afternoon and get everything you need to get done. And we're excited to see you today and tomorrow. And if you're having more questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. We'll be here for a little bit longer. But otherwise, have a good day, everybody. And thank you, Peter and Rachel.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome to be here.
For those who are wondering, we are recording these sessions and we are going to post them onto our orientation website by early next week. And so you can review all this information there. So can I ride my scooter on campus to my classes? Technically, you're not supposed to skateboard or use a scooter or bike on campus, except like on roadways. You know, are you going to get a ticket or anything like that? Probably not. You just want to be mindful not to hit anybody. So, yeah. If we're changing majors and the form has a kind of cluster, can we change out of groups tomorrow? Sure, you can do that. If you are changing your major to something else, you can join another orientation later group for that, the major that you want to go into. So you can ride a bike on the major roadways. Bikes, as you remember, if you've ever taken a bike class or something, are treated as cars. And so if you're on pavement, then you're fine to be on a bike. You want to make sure you stop at the stop signs. UPD will stop you if you blow through a stop sign. You're not supposed to ride them through the quad and other areas. You know, again, nobody's necessarily going to throw a stick in your smoke or anything like that, but you know, it's technically against policy. How secure are bicycles? Is theft a problem? Theft is a problem everywhere. You know, I don't necessarily think it's worse than any other campus. I would get a good lock. Specifically, I would at least get a U-lock. Don't use those wire locks. Those can get cut by, you know, $20 bolt cutter. The U-locks can be broken too, but it takes a little bit more than $20 bolt cutter. You can register your bikes at UPD too. All right, I'm going to end the webinar. If you got more questions, save them for tomorrow. We'll be here, and yeah, have a good day.